Welcome, folks, to the very last Wednesday night Modern. Ignore the graphic we're getting. We're hot switching right now. Okay, we are in the very last week, despite some technical issues. Thank you for your patience in our starting our production tonight. We have over $1,000 to give away, and you're staring at two people who are likely going home with some amount of that, but they might be going home with a bigger amount that they are currently in line for. Danny and Ray, number 6 and 5 on our leaderboard currently. Payout is to top 8, and the second tier is when they hit that 4th spot on the leaderboard. We're going to get him going in just a second here. Danny, of course, on his typical Yawgmoth, and Ray rocking his Domain Reanimator package. Starting off with some pre-game effects and a Leyline of the Guild pack, and we're off.
I will say one of the defining features of Modern right now is sitting down playing Paper Magic and then going, okay, y'all be on the play. Y'all keep this 7. I don't have any pre-game effects. Do you have any pre-game effects? Like, there is now a part of beginning the game. It is just so frequent. They used to be like, I do or I don't. Do you? No? Okay, here we go.
I have been hearing it a lot in Commander games too, even. Oh, pre-game effects.
That's great.
Yeah.
Just fix your mana. Make it perfecto.
Easy peasy. Getting off to some mana fixing here on both sides. We got a Delighted Halfling on Danny's side, and we'll fetch and grab a Surveil land for Ray. I forgot to introduce us. My name is Saviva Goodman, as it's always been, alongside Dominic Stryker.
Hello, I'm Dan and Brian.
No, they're the Pokemon guys. They had a great stream last week. We'll get everything sorted out here. There we go. Folks, I hope you're excited for some great Magic tonight, because we are featuring the best players in the local area tonight.
Except Haviva, multi-RCQ, top 8er, no problemo, local Chicagoland area.
Thank you. Apparently Standard's my format. I just had to go. My first competitive format was Modern, and apparently that was the wrong decision. I should have tried Standard earlier. Should have tried Standard earlier this season.
I even saw the Oops All NRG top 4. Let's get it.
It was so great, man. Yeah, me and Will had our rematch in the semis. He was able to take me out this time. I took him out at min-max, and he's got his qualification on the very last day he could possibly get it. It was very exciting. But we'll go back into the Modern format here, take a look at what's happening. We got a Faithless Mending from Ray. Draw 2, discard 2, gain 2.
Very, very important detail here is once you reach this point of the game, whether Danny knew or didn't know what Ray was playing, though you play locally, you kind of get a gist for it. When you see a looting spell like this Faithful Mending, even more so when you see this Archon being discarded, you know that you're on the hunt for your anti-graveyard tools. We checked right before we got started. Danny is rocking still the classic, like, one of main deck Endurance in their Yawgmoth deck.
Mm-hmm.
That if it's not in hand, Danny's one plan is to get in hand as fast as possible because you don't want to deal with this Archon of
I'm
Cruelty.
also looking at his submitted list.
Ooh,
He's
a
got a main
Scavenging
board
Ooze.
scavenging ooze. That could be helpful as well.
And easier to chord for, right? You have the same number that you're looking at, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's either a chord for 3 to get Endurance and do the effect, or a chord for 2 for Scavenging Ooze, but then you can activate to do it, which might be able to save you mana if you're trying to use like a Walrus or whatever. You might be able to chord for 2, untap, activate. Like you have a little bit of that wiggle room, so the split should be very helpful.
Absolutely. We'll see if he's able to take down this graveyard-based deck with his graveyard-based deck. Domain Yogwen.
You don't want to know.
Is it already a thing?
Yes. This is known troll in chat. Won't even say their name.
No free clout here.
Friend of NRG and commentator Doomwake, for folks who don't follow, has been playing for over the last like couple of days Leyline Scion in Ivory thing.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like the cool, fun thing for commentators, or not commentators, for content creators to do right now.
Mm-hmm.
Known very, very good Yogg player, Young Dingo, did in fact do incredibly well with Scion domain Yawgmoth. So please don't tempt people.
Yeah, Domain Merfolk. No, I already could not watch the standard Merfolk stream Doom did. He piloted my deck in
Oh no.
in certain ways. All right, we'll say it that way. So don't stick any Domain in the Merfolk package.
And Danny here using the Beseiju, a powerful tool out of their mana base, to target down Ray's Leyline, which now the interesting thing about when you have a Leyline in play is some Domain players get real loose goose with what lands they're putting in play and what they're fetching for. You see Ray searched up a Surveil land, got another Surveil land, but technically now only has access to Esper mana outside of making the treasure and then possibly cracking their polluted delta.
Mm-hmm.
But now Danny's forcing him to take those actions, and your Scions aren't going to be all powered up now at the cost of basically a land out of your hand.
Exactly. Yeah. Ray needs to find a couple more pieces. Now, he does have this Fable the Mirror Breaker, which will be able to loot him some cards there. And he did Surveil and keep a card on top. So he still has some tools here. We also see a Faithless Minion in his hand as well. Danny's starting to build his board. 2 Wall of Roots, a Young Wolf, and a Delighted Halfling.
Yeah, it's very interesting because while there's so many pieces of cardboard in play for Danny, none of them are good blockers to stop Ray from attacking and getting the treasure. Both the walls don't have any power to fight back, and the Young Wolf is currently at undied status, so it's just a 1/1. So if Ray wants, you can still attack with impunity into this, and as long as you don't get Bowmaster, you're not that worried about losing it. But it looks like we're going according.
Looks like we are casting a Chord of Calling. Grist is the other card in hand for Danny here. He could have cast that. No.
I think question number 1 is deal with that Archon in the graveyard, and the Grist is in case one sneaks out of the graveyard.
Exactly. So I think we're going to go grab those cards we were talking about earlier, one of their graveyard hate pieces.
And it might be trying to get that Scavenging Ooze because you see the available mana as well as the Wall of Roots. We're going to have a lot that we can work with to try to eat slowly throughout the course of the whole game.
Ray nodding his head there. Yep. Seems good. Seems good.
Yeah, the popularity of the Esper Reanimator decks we've seen now that there's an Endurance in Danny's deck, classic for Yogg, but the moving of the Scavenging in as well shows that respect for graveyard-based strategies. They're trying to dominate this domain-based meta. Ray squishing the domain and the Reanimator pieces together is getting kind of the splash from all around.
Indeed. And we were talking about earlier with this Fable, the Mirror Breaker token here, the Goblin Shaman, can't quite attack safely anymore because the Scooze will grow to trumpet.
Right. The Scooze already wants to try to eat the Archon of Cruelty, and this is a very important detail of Archon as your reanimation target versus an Atraxa as your reanimation target. Persist is a sorcery. Goryo's is an instant. So what you can do with the Goryo's deck is you can sometimes find a moment to sneak it in and get your target out in response to the interaction. Ray, due to using Persist, will have to do it at a sorcery speed.
Exactly. So here will come the Persist, and there will be the expected eating of the Archon, putting a counter on the Ooze there, gaining some life as well. Up to 19 and 21 on our different sides of the board here.
Do we know, is Ray's deck playing Grief by any chance?
I don't think he submitted his deck, unfortunately. I can look at his last one.
Very importantly, I'm asking because everything about this interaction with the Persist is very face-up, right? We have the Scavenging Ooze, We have the activate to eat your creature and showing that your persist won't resolve.
Mhm.
Ray might being a little defeated, kind of throwing the persist out there, going, hey, I'm just going to do it. But it might have been worthwhile to hang on to that persist, one, in case you get a card like Grief or Solitudes in your deck in the graveyard, or to have a black card to pitch to a Grief because you have an Ephemerate in hand already.
All right. Despite what I said earlier, Ray will go to combat here, answering with the Goblin Shaman, getting a token on the attack. Looking at his last deck list, he did submit a full playset of both Griefs and Solitudes.
Okay.
So we'll see if that stands true with this week's deck list.
Yeah, and one of the interesting parts about having the Persist Archon package again instead of Goryo's and Atraxa is you can use Persist on all those other creatures. You can bring your Archons, your Scions back, your Griefs back, your Solitudes back, and then you can Ephemerate them, just make them lose that -1 token. So there's more internal synergy, but at the cost of having the Sorcery and the Archon trigger. But it seems like no matter what, the Scavenging Ooze is going to fight you on all fronts.
Exactly. Danny opting to just use a wall to block the Goblin Shaman over using his Skoos there.
Because that's kind of a sneaky attack from Ray, is Ray saying, I must have something, right? I wouldn't attack with this if I didn't have something. Trying to just get that treasure, see what they can push. Danny not willing to fall for it just yet.
Absolutely, yeah. He'll go back to his turn here. Got a bunch of mana at our disposal. Grist will be the first play.
It's the Grist we saw earlier, right? And now we can either tick up and have blockers for days for the Goblin Shaman, or if you wanted, you could have snacked on your Young Wolf and dealt with this 2/2.
We get 2 insects, baby.
Do it again. One more time? One more time, Danny? Just roll it for a third? Okay.
All right, we'll stick with 2 there. Hit a Grist, so we'll get an additional activation there. We'll get 2 insects to come up the board even more.
And a personal favorite of ours, that pushed that Grist to ultimate range already. Just
Oh,
push it
boy.
straight up, right? And now here's the Soul Cauldron.
Ooh, that's a good card.
It would love to eat a Grist. Ooh, I bet it would love to eat a
We
Grist.
haven't seen a Soul Cauldron really do too much on stream in a minute. There's been a couple casts of it, but it's never really gotten too much in the pot.
Ooh, what we can do is we can make this Delight a Halfling and do a Grist, plus up, get those insects. On our following turns, we could use the Grist we already have, eat our Young Wolf. The Young Wolf can undie, and then it can gain all the abilities in the soup due to its 1/1 counter. So the internal synergies of Yawgmoth just continue to just like ratchet up every time. And that even helps with the fact that we've added Scavenging Ooze. This is one more activated ability to have access to in our main deck.
Indeed. Yeah, the Skoos already has a +1/+1 counter, so we didn't even need the Cauldron to put one on there. But we put one on the Halfling, have 2 more insects now. This board is getting busy.
Currently, as it stands, the white counters are 1/1 counters. The green counters are -0, -1. And the black counters are loyalty.
Right.
Keeping along, everyone?
Yeah. No, Danny's been so disappointed because he got all these really nice.
He got the good dice, yeah.
Fancy Yogg dice, and then I'm like, I need you to use the coverage
Yeah,
dice.
because they're tiny. They're tiny
They're
normal
very
dice.
small.
I know it's hard to tell because you're seeing a beautiful bird's eye view. These dice are huge. They are very, very big, so that you, the folks at home, even if you're looking on your phone, can see these clear as day.
Yep, absolutely. If you have any questions, though, make sure to just ask in chat. This board state is probably going to get a little more messy before the end of this game. We'll see. Back on Ray's turn here. Fable will flip over. We got 2 Ephemerates. Surveil Land. We'll see him put it into the grave. It's another polluted delta. Don't need that.
And Ray's hand, I think, is Ephemerate, a Faithful Mending, and possibly a land floating in the middle, which unfortunately means kind of nothing.
Kind of nothing, yeah. I think Faithless Mending is a sorcery?
Instant.
It's an instant, okay.
Yep. And we do have one in the graveyard
We could
from
also
a while ago that had
flashback.
flashback that I think we may have eaten with some of our free mana with the Skoos earlier, as I see it is in exile, but it's important to know about the Mending in hand, is we do kind of get 2 shots if we'd like.
Using the Skoos, we'll eat that ley line before we pass back to Danny's turn here. Draw for the turn is Young Wolf.
Kind of a good habit, right? We're just going to use our open mana to eat cards out of Ray's graveyard. We don't know if there's something Ray can do with it, but I'm not going to wait and find out either.
Did he choose to not eat the flashback card?
The flashback card's already eaten. We can see it's turned sideways there with the Archon.
I see.
But we ate the Leyline there just in case. Who knows? If Ray's doing something, just being a little sneaky, we don't want to find out in a dire moment instead.
Continuing to amass these insects here, we'll use one of the loyalty abilities to.
We get to get value out of this Ephemerate, blinking the reflection of Kiki Jiki as a creature. It'll leave, come back as a Fable, re-trigger Chapter 1, and give us another 2/2 Goblin. So at least we got something out of all
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I don't think the Orc Army token is the
Yeah,
best.
specifically not the good choice.
Yeah, ephemerated there. That'll go back for rebound.
Yeah, and
Get
our hand
another
is.
Goblin Shaman token.
We won't be able to anymore because now the Fable is no longer a flipped creature.
Oh,
It's
so you
back
can't
to
target
being.
it.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So we got to have one moment of Trixie, but now it's time for Danny to just dump the whole bag of tricks out on the table.
He came prepared too. Look how many insect tokens he has in his deck box.
I do love that. I usually carry like 3 to 4 of a token.
Yeah.
I bet when you're playing this deck and you realize you're like, oh, the Grist games, I need a lot of these.
Oh, for sure. I do the same in standard as well. I have like 3 Merfolk tokens.
That'd be fine.
Sometimes you need a
Oh.
few more.
That's a second Young Wolf sighting.
Uh-oh. Woo. 2 undying creatures on the field here. That's pretty good for a Yawgmoth deck. We
Yeah.
still haven't seen the namesake card himself.
What we can
Yawgmoth
do
Grand Physician.
is all these homies have 1/1 counters, right?
Mm.
So we can keep kind of activating them as Grist on each of our turns, just kind of rapid fire milling ourselves because if we mill one over, into the soup it goes.
Exactly. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. And then in the meantime, we have all these things we
Rumble.
can just turn sideways. Seems great. Are we just rumbling with a Scooz? Are we?
Yeah, because everything's kind of little, and we know Danny to be a patient player.
Sure.
Danny doesn't win by combat often. Danny is very like purposeful with every action that's taken. The thing is sometimes when you have 9 insects, you can turn them sideways and get 7 damage out of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would have attacked in, even if you lose a couple to the shaman tokens.
That's fine.
You
The
got
rest get
plenty
through.
more. You're making more than 2 a turn, so losing 2 I think is fine.
It looks like right here, firing off that Faithful Mending, getting rid of the Ephemerate in their hand that wasn't doing much of anything. And then Danny immediately eating it before Ray even has a chance to try to flash it back. And that's what I was saying before. Remember when I was saying we got a little loose with the cards that we fetched up early with our fetch lands and stuff when we had a leyline in play? We are still a domain-style strategy with just an Esper mana currently.
Right. I did see, Grief and Solitude in hand currently.
Oh, that's great. Those are the ones we can actually cast.
Exactly. Where do we send it though? First, we'll go to attacks here. Make 2 treasures with our Goblin Shaman tokens.
Oh, yeah. Danny can trade 2, a young wolf and an insect, and then 2 other insects to just start clearing what Ray's got going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the pro strat is super overblock. Like overblock, not just with like two insects, but like 9 of them. So that if Ray felt like he's like, oh, I'll flash in the Solitude, even though his mana can't, if he had a white card to pitch or whatever and he really wanted to, when you block with 9 of them, you can't get blown out by 1 removal spell, right? All of them are prepared to be here. Where in that case, if Ray really wanted, even though we can't cast it, we could have removed one of those insects if the goblin was that important.
That's a really good point. You don't see too many combat tricks, like pump spells nowadays. So yeah, just
you see
removal. We see removal all the time. So yeah, overblocking there is actually strategic.
And Ray did have the option to cast that Solitude. I forgot we made the treasures off those goblins from earlier.
Yep.
But I think those are at a premium because we have so many blue-black lands in play.
I think so. We'll continue the insect making train over here. We just pitched him to the shaman token so that we'd have more.
Yogg in the yard.
Oh, Yogg in the yard.
Yogg in the yard. And Ray casting the Solitude at the exact moment before Yogg's in the soup. So these young wolves going away at just the right moment.
Is that the only one that hasn't been activated yet? Or is he's clearing it? I'm trying to figure out where in priority.
I believe Danny has activated the soup, targeted Yawgmoth. Ray went, I'm going to exile this young wolf before we got a problem.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think Danny has too many instant speed responses here.
No, our wolf's gone. Into exile it goes. Now we have to fight through a Solitude, which is fine. We even had these 2/2 insects from slowly feeding them with the soup.
Right.
Those trade off with a Solitude. But now all of these are Yawgmoths, and we can just trade off our insects and our young wolf to eat the Solitude, get through the stuff.
Oh,
Shading.
Oh, and he found it.
Yep. The writing on the wall.
Single Yogg activation into cord. We'll spell Doom there. We're going to get our combo piece off the cord.
Yeah, Danny at 19 basically had 18 draws to work with after resolving that search. Plenty to try to find even their open mana to cast their Blood Artist or even tutor for it.
Absolutely. Didn't need too many looks there at all, though. We'll take down game one in round one of Wednesday Night Modern. Let's go into sideboards here and check out some deck lists. This is Ray's last minute deck list. 61 cards in that main board. Let's look at this sideboard. We got Teferi Time Raveler, Blossoming Calm, Tear Asunder, Mystical Dispute, Engineered Explosives, of course, those Cursed Totems, and 4-hole Leyline of the Voids.
Bottom 6, right? Cursed Totems, those have Yawgmoth's name all over them, and Leyline of the Void, though they're here for most likely the reanimation style mirrors, or if you run into a rogue dredge player or someone still flying the flag for Living End, still works very well here, right? What we lost to was things going into it, Agatha's Soul Cauldron, slowly beefing up our creatures and figuring it out piece by piece by piece. If we put this Leyline in play, they don't have many pieces to work with.
Exactly. Pretty easy sideboard plan there. We'll take a look at a Yawgmoth deck as well. Here's the one for Danny. I don't believe this is his submitted deck list. Is this a Goldfish one? Oh, no, it was...
This is indeed his.
This is his full 75.
Because we were talking about this main deck Scavenging Ooze, this main deck Endurance.
All right, let's take a look at his sideboard. We have Soulless Jailer, another Endurance, Fulminator Mage, Reclamation Sage, Sholdred, Liliana of the Veil, Fatal Push, Pick Your Poison, Surgical Extraction, Thoughtseize, Assassin's Trophy, Legion's End, and Force of Vigor. Lots of choices here.
Good tools. We have access to Endurance to get another piece of Graveyard Hate in here. Followed by, we have Liliana of the Veil. What's great about Liliana is it has an Edict effect. So if my opponent persists and puts an Archon into play, I can munch on that. And even more importantly, if they have a Scion in play with its hexproof and all that jam, we can make them sacrifice it, which pushes you towards Pick Your Poison as well. Also has that tag a flying creature to hit Archon and make you sack an artifact to hit the Scion.
Hits Scion, hits Archon, hits Atraxa. Everything in his deck sans the Solitude flies, right?
Yeah.
So Pick Your Poison seems very strong here.
Then we have the Surgical Extraction. This is the quickest and freest option to tag something when they're trying to be the ones reanimating with it. And if you feel like you need it after all of those pieces, you can bring in Assassin's Trophy because it's good to have like a catch-all. If they put an Archon in play, this answers that. If they're really beating you down because of that line, the ley line, you can answer that. If they have an unbeefed up Scion, you can answer that. Like Assassin's Trophy just gives you an option to clear whatever the problem might be.
It's been a minute since I've seen the card Assassin's Trophy. I remember when it came out in Guilds of Ravnica and it was super popular. It was a pretty expensive card as well.
Right. Yeah, I played it specifically in Yawgmoth for that reason of being your 15th sideboard card that no matter what the question is, it is an answer.
Absolutely. And the fact that it has to grab a basic is pretty hurtful to Ray. He doesn't run too many in his deck, I would assume. He's obviously going to have targets to find, but he wants his lands to do as much as possible. So it's not the huge resource gain that some other decks might get.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of tools that Danny has to work with here, and we got to take down game one. So we've got 2 games to work with, all of these new toys to try to stop what Ray's got going on. And Ray has their ley lines that they're going to be bringing in, but this deck is still just chock full of Boseijus in the main deck, probably bringing in Rex Sage because you always have to. Cursed Totems are out there. Rex Sage must come in every time. And then if they just don't have Cursed Totem, and you draw Rex Sage and blow up Leyline of the Void, it's going to look silly.
Yeah, it seems good as we head back into the game here. I think players are still shuffling up. Let's take a look at our leaderboard real quick while they're figuring out starting hands. This is the very last week of our Modern League, so these positions are just about final, but not quite. Everyone on that left side of the screen is going to be getting a piece of the pie at the end of the night if they are still there. Once round 4 wraps up, let's look at the standings right now. Adam Weiss in first, followed by George Jabor, Martin Slawinski, Alex Luke, Ray Bosque, Danny Pachon, Brian Tepper, and Valerie Strong, and a lot of strong competitors on their heels on the right side of that bracket as well. Looking to catch up tonight.
And these players are fighting for the middle scrum, right?
Yeah.
Between Danny, Ray, and Alex Luke, and even Brian Tepper, depending on how this day goes. They're all trying to claw up to that 4th place position because that's where you get your differential. Then same deal when you get first, second, so forth. But they're really fighting to get just moments up to get claw up that ladder.
Absolutely. I will note that Adam Weiss is unfortunately not in the building tonight. He had a planned absence today, so will not be getting any more points in this league. 113 is the number to beat. The minimum points you can get is 5, one for starting, playing, coming in for the night, and then each loss is 1 point. So
Which means number 2 and number 3 will both be overtaking
it's
Adam.
essentially locked. Yeah,
Essentially locked to overtake.
surpass.
Well, Marty
I
has to
see
win a game.
Adam here.
Marty has to win a game.
Yes,
The 5 points will tie him with Adam Wise.
exactly.
And then the same thing, Alex and Ray and Danny are looking for really, really good days, and they might be looking for really, really, really good days.
Yeah, Alex at most can tie Adam. The most points you can get in a single night is 13. So Alex could hypothetically tie Adam here, and Ray would fall just under with his most impressive night.
So we'll be highlighting a lot of these players on this left side throughout the course of the whole night because it's a race.
It's a race. Yeah, it's an exciting one. We'll see how things shake out here in game 2. Ray will be on the play. We'll start Danny with the haywire mite. There was no pregame action for Ray, so nothing for the mite to eat immediately, but it's there. It's a threat.
That means it can later eat a ley line because, and very importantly, Ray is playing a deck that has black mana. So if you draw a ley line of the void, you can actually just try and cast it and hope it's relevant still through the middle of the game. That is a type of game where Danny can just activate this. It's not Curse Totem, that's ley line of the void. Remember, this can't activate once a Curse Totem is in play. So it's an answer to some of the hate pieces. And remember, Haywire says non-creature.
Oh, and there it is. Turn 2 Curse Totem. Can no longer activate that Haywire Might. But you know what you can do is turn it sideways.
Yeah, Rumble. Get in there.
Get some sacks. And, of course, we have some other things that might be able to deal with that Curse Totem as well. We saw Rex Sage. We saw... Force of Vigors was in...
Force of Vigors are in Danny's sideboard. The question is hard on if you do or don't want to bring them in. But I guess it's not bad if you tag Totem and Leyline. So maybe probably a non-zero chance that Danny may have those in their deck as well.
I'm surprised as Danny flashes in this Bowmaster here. I'm surprised these were kept in the deck. It seems kind of weak against this Reanimator package.
It's kind of good against the looting effects here,
I guess so, yeah. Didn't think about that. Ray will do it in response so that we don't trigger this Bowmaster additional times.
Yeah, an important part is if you can, I've been doing this in Legacy, if you can put a Bowmaster in response to a mass draw effect, your like 4/4 Orc army might be all it takes to just like apply pressure a couple of times. So I can see the draw to wanting to have it against these looting effects. And I can also see that they're sometimes mopey, and you want to take them out.
For sure. Draw for turn for Danny will be a Grist, not immediately casting that. Obviously, there's a lot of different things we can do. We have a mixture of 1 and 2 drops left in our hand as well, I believe.
But the thing is, a lot of our 1 and 2 drops can't activate their abilities. Grist, creature everywhere else, but not here on the battlefield, start activating away.
Yeah, we'll start to make this board a little bit wider here. Mill over a Takanuma.
I saw Ray get really big eyes looking at the graveyard, just expecting Danny to double dunk again on 2 Grists.
Doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, it's hype. Fetch out on Ray's turn here, bringing him down to 13 already.
Just taking a peek at this layout of the void, being like, yep, I did bring these in. Just didn't draw it. Got it. Cool. Back to shuffling.
Indeed. Fix our mana a little bit more here. Now we have 2 white sources as opposed to last game.
Yeah, and not only do we have the 2 white sources, Jetmir's Garden pairs perfectly with the Undercity Sewers. Full domain access there. So if Ray's trying to actually cast a Scion or cast a Binding, we can fully do so at discounted rate.
Awesome. Land for turn, or will be the draw for turn, pardon me.
A lot of those in hand, actually.
A lot. And just a pass back after playing his fetch.
It looks like it might be Land Grief Ephemerate. But maybe the card isn't Ephemerate, so there's got to be something that we're scared of.
There's already an Ephemerate in the yard as well. Let me check how many he was
Full
playing.
4.
Full
4.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Ephemerate is like maybe I'm going to say the secret back on it, but it's not a secret. The incredible part because it allows you to still have Grief Scam as a part of your big Reanimator deck.
Yes.
While also being good with the top end of Flickering an Archon, Flickering a Solitude, all of those still feel great.
Absolutely. Danny, about to move to combat there, took a step back and is going to reevaluate. Checking out his hand here. Grist is at 5, and the creatures on board are 2 insects, a Bowmaster, Orc Army at 1, and of course that Haywire Might from turn 1.
Maybe we're scared of a Subtlety, just kind of sneaking in and just eating something up for free. That's kind of one of the main 4-mana flashable threats that Ray could have access to.
Potentially.
And a card you would bring in against Yogg every time, right? It's so incredibly important to answer cards like Grist, Yawgmoth, or even an Endurance trying to stop you. So if Ray had access, I would bring in Subtlety. So if I'm Danny, and I'm well aware of things that are available in the format, I might not throw my creatures into combat worrying for that.
There's also the thing with Yawgmoth, because their creatures can be courted and convoked.
Yeah. They all
This
feel
could
like mana.
potentially be taking mana away from him. We'll swing with everything except for a Bowmaster and an Insect, which hints to me that a Cord might be in our sights here. We'll bring Ray down to 10 to Danny's full 20.
I did see the cord, so
There
proof
is
it's there.
sick. Wall of Roots will play first.
So now we have access to either cord for endurance or cord for scavenging use, activate scavenging use. Danny has the choice if Ray even forces him to do something. Or Danny can lean back, continue to slowly develop their board state, and save that cord for the Yawgmoth.
All right. And Danny's end step here, Ray will be fetching, has grabbed another Surveil land.
And I wouldn't recommend grabbing the scavenging use because it can't activate its abilities, which means
That
my
pesky
cord math,
curse totem.
which means my cord math is wrong because you can't activate the Wall of Roots, which means we currently have cord for 2, no matter how you slice it. So we could not get full access to grabbing endurance yet. And if I was Danny, I might be saving it to grab my Rex Sage. Blow up this curse totem, then start doing the thing.
Ooh, Ray has drawn a Scion of Draco for turn.
Grief.
We'll just play a full hard-casted Grief, though, for 4, leaving up a fetch.
I'm going to cord here. Probably cord for 2, but possibly grab Young Wolf anyways.
Right, because you don't want him to grab the cord at the very least. So we'll get that out of our hands.
Yeah, get that out of our hands because we need this to just transfer into a creature with flash, right?
Right.
So we are currently here cording 4-2. Remember, cord says X or less. So you have the option, right? If we going through the deck and we go, actually my best choice is still getting another Young Wolf, you can go ahead and grab one. If you want to get Scoos in hopes that you activate or get rid of the curse totem, totally fair. We have access to all of our 2s and all of our 1s.
Yeah, I think generally the thing that we're missing most of the time is just a creature with Undying. I believe we've gone down in the number of Undying creatures for other things, but instead we'll grab our our sideboard card, Soulless Jailer.
Creed's cards can't leave graveyards.
Permanent cards in graveyards cannot enter the battlefield. Players cannot cast non-creature spells from graveyards or exile.
A card that used to be here to fight rhinos, now here to fight big fatties out of the graveyard.
Those big fatties can remain big fatties in the graveyard.
Right. They can stay snoozing in the yard because the jailer says no thanks for now.
No, thank you. He needs a pretty big cage, but he looks like a big guy. Look at that art.
That was a 04. At least a part of him's huge.
Reminds me of that Dark Souls. I think it might be Bloodborne actually. That guy that like scoops you up in the bag and you go to like the other. Bryce, do you know what I'm talking about?
I would love to be scooped up in a bag.
Yeah. That guy's scary. It scared me the first time that happened.
If anyone out there wants to scoop me up in a bag, I really would appreciate it.
Someone just like roll me up in a carpet and make me a little burrito, please.
Oh. Danny here using our grist, which means we can kind of shoot down this grief. But Ray's fetching. What could we possibly be fetching for?
I don't know. Wall of Roots definitely the creature to get rid of here. Can't even make mana.
Okay, I was really worried because we were fetching with a Bloodstained Mire, which is not an Esper-based fetch. I was like, oh no, do you have access to a white source from this? But we found our Godless Shrine, so we did still at least have access to an untapped white source. We have found it. We're going to ephemerate this grief. Basically, just so we can keep it, we know Danny's hand is an Overgrown Tomb.
All right, and Ephemerate will be the play there to keep our grief, but we are running dangerously low on life here, Ray, at just 6 now. And Danny's got 6 creatures in play.
Oh, I'm sorry. Danny had drawn a card for turn. We have the Surgical. And Surgical, we can at least eat up the flashback card that Ray has in their graveyard. Nothing else really irrelevant. Unless we want to strip all the Ephemerates from the game. Oh.
Oh, that will be the play.
I wonder if Danny was interested in this, could it have been worthwhile to start your turn with the Surgical on Ephemerate, forcing Ray to do all of this if they wanted to like Ephemerate and keep their grief, and then you could have killed it with the Grist. But that's knowing that you wanted your turn to go this way. Probably we wanted to hold on to the Surgical, but it's one of those like how far can you level the level, right? If you think that Ephemerate's a target you're going after anyways, and Ray's holding up 1 mana, and you're going to go for removal, could we have played around it?
All right, all the spells will resolve off the stack here. Ray showing he's got a Scion of Draco in his hand left, and Danny just had that land, I believe, from the first grief that's now played, so both our players very low on resources in hand here, going to work with just our top deck and what's on the board.
Yeah, Danny's plan is to push so that we can try to get
Mhm.
6 damage through this Grief and the incoming Scion. The Scion won't be all powered up, but what is important here too is once the Scion is in play, the Grief will gain lifelink.
Yeah.
Because Scion still gives the abilities no matter what. Oh, 2 seconds. No matter what's going on, but now these 2 4/4s are really going to get in the way of just the Yawgmoth aggro plan.
All right, gonna swing in. It's got Menace as well as Lifelink.
And now this is applying this pressure.
Yeah, and Danny doesn't know. Oh, man.
And it looks like it's coming at the Grist. So we're going to have to use our creatures to save our
That's
Grist.
smart. Yeah. That forces Danny to block. I was thinking maybe Danny just takes it on the nose and then Ray's like, I got another Scion. He's like, oh, no.
Yeah, you can see the look on Danny's face, verbally saying "wow" as just the biggest thing going on is now these 2
Scion's
4/4 dragons.
Scion's pretty scary. Even by itself. It's a 4/4 flyer for 2.
These ones are gristable though.
They are.
Munch.
They are indeed. We'll grab one of them.
So that's half the battle, and you have 21 life to work with. So Ray is forced you on their turn. If you want to attack with this, you have to turn it sideways, which means it sure isn't blocking. And you can start applying your own pressure, try to chip away at this 9.
All right, he will use the Scion to go over the creatures on Danny's board, kill the Grist, leaving himself undefended.
Danny's fetching. Are we going to get Dryad Arbor? Are we going to apply pressure? We can get a 3-turn clock. We did not.
Oh, does he play Dryad Arbor?
Of course. Danny and I are on Team Dryad Arbor.
I don't see it. Oh, no, it's in creatures.
It's in
I'm
creatures.
sorry.
Phew.
I'm sorry. Okay, we're good.
Because right now, as it currently stands, our Bowmaster and our Haywire Might together attack for 2.
Right.
That is a 5-turn clock to win this race against Ray.
Mm-hmm.
If we searched up Dryad Arbor, that's 3/1/1.
What
So
about
that becomes
the-
a 3-turn clock.
What about the Jailer?
04.
Oh, it's an 04?
04. His
Really?
job is to stand there.
That's it?
That's it.
You don't got no power?
Nope. His job is to stand there.
Okay.
So if we had searched up that Dryad Arbor, we could be able to apply enough pressure to force Ray to you need to draw cards that do something.
Yeah, so I think the Surveillant is a pretty strong strong fetch there. Just making sure that we're drawing things sooner than our opponents.
But the thing I wanted to draw is a creature anyways, and what if I just turned it into Dryad Arbor?
Sure. I mean, yeah, I don't think your line is incorrect. It's definitely one of the lines that we could do here. Ray grabbing more Surveillance as well.
And Danny did draw for our turn attack, then not play anything. So we have something either with instant speed capability. Oh, this is Cord.
Oh, boy.
Shieldred. I don't know if we brought it in, but if we did, it's one of the best ways to push this 6 life total down to 0.
Absolutely. Danny getting real good draws here. This Cord is absolutely the best thing he could have drawn besides the creature he was going to go grab with it. I would say. You think there's something better?
Oh, Danny's shortcutting here. He's going to get Grist sack, Haywire Might to kill the Scion. I saw the quick motion of the Haywire Might at the Scion. I was like, we can't do that, but we sure can sack it to our Grist. The fact that we have so many copies of Grist available just because of these Cords and possible EEs in our deck, you could just have access to so many Grist.
Ray checking the text on Soulless Jailer before milling over the Persist with his Surveillant there. Heads up play. We'll cycle. Oh.
Okay, that's a Solitude, but we can't cast it.
Not yet.
We can't evoke it.
Not yet. Danny.
And because they drew off the cycle, they got to ping them with the Bowmaster.
Oh. Down to 5.
So we get to push.
Take 2. Down to 3. Play a Yawg.
Play the Yawgmoth we drew. Jeez.
Oh,
I mean,
my goodness.
You're saying wowzers when we drew double Scion, but these have been banger after banger after banger.
Oh, my gosh. Draws a land for a turn.
Now,
for Ray.
importantly, the Solitude is Ray's card.
It is. Oh, crashing with everything. Here we go. Blocks are going to be.
This blocks so well.
This is great for Ray. Oh my goodness. Clean up the Yawg, block the Bowmaster, take 2, gain 3.
Yeah.
Gain 1. Up to 6.
And the Haywire Might died, so Danny gets a little life for their trouble. I mean, the top deck for top deck.
The life gains from the Solitude on the Yawg. We already gained the life from the Might when it went after the Scion, right?
Yup. Ray, we're going draw for draw. What did you draw? Block the Soulless Jailer. Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Oh,
Rage
with
will
a persist.
Oh, Dangerous Soul Cauldron. We still
Okay.
have this cursed totem from so long ago. But the basically secret text of this is it's just your creature's going to get +1/+1 counters.
Yeah.
We can eat stuff out of Raise Yard. Whatever. I just need to give counters to these.
Make them a little bit bigger. Will minus the grist again? Kill the Solitude? Makes sense why Ray wanted to just throw it at Danny there.
Didn't Cauldron pump up this insect?
No, Cauldron is not activated. He's going to activate it now.
Yep, yes, we are. Might as well eat up that other grist in case we can find an answer to the totem. All right, we got pressure. The Solar Shield,
yeah, there
Give
you
us
go.
all these attackers. Big rip.
Ray, chip and a chair heal.
Oh, we would have taken that pick your
Mills
poison.
over our singleton cyborg card, pick your poison.
We get to get in here for 3 points of damage. If we activate this Cauldron, we're getting in for 4 points of damage. This is perfect. Leaving us 4 lethal threats, right? 4 counts of 1. That Ray needs 2 removal spells or a way to gain life to push through our onslaught next turn. And we got a Young Wolf as well. Leyline Binding is not enough.
Leyline Binding isn't enough.
Yep, eat a token, die in combat, and that's the game for Danny.
Wow.
What a slog.
Oh my goodness. Able to get there with combat damage, beefed up his board with Grist, was able to take out Ray, even with 2 Scions in board, some life gain there as well.
Turn 2 Curse Totem, in play the entire
2.
game. Just playing the Yawgmoth aggression.
All right. Well, the 6th seed will take down the 5th seed in our very first round here. Exciting stuff going on already. Our backup match is done. Wow. All right. We'll take a peek at those players maybe later on in our matches here. But first, before we go into a break, we'll take a look at our weekly schedule. No? Which one? There we go.
Yeah.
I made a new graphic. We forgot to load it in for today, so apologies. It's still a little inaccurate, but I'll go over that when we get to it. Wednesday, of course, is Modern. We're live every single Wednesday at 6:30. Make sure to hit that follow button so you get notified when we go live. We also stream Pokemon on Thursdays. Tomorrow will be some more post-rotation content for you there, as well as our free-to-play Commander Nights. Friday is Standard and Legacy for FNM, as well as One Piece. Saturday is Digimon. Monday is our Digimon League with our other free-to-play Commander Night. Tuesday rounds out our schedule with Pioneer being replaced by Lorcana, and our One Piece League. Our One Piece League just started last week, so now's the time to get in. Before the next set comes out, that's when their league turns over there. So if you want to play some other games that are really fun, check out one of the 5 different ones that we support at the store currently. With that being said, though, that wraps up round 1 coverage. We'll be right back, folks. Stay tuned.
See y'all soon.
Welcome back, folks. We're in round 2 of our very last week of Wednesday Night Modern League. We got another leaderboard race for you here. Alex Luke sitting in that number 4 spot versus Sam G in the number 10 spot. Both these boys trying to go home with a big piece of the pie. Sam just out of that points race currently, and Alex trying to move up a couple of spots and take home a bigger piece of the pie.
Oh no. I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing.
The smallpox?
We're mulliganing to 4 against smallpox.
Again, Sam.
An
Sam, oh no.
aggro hammer mulligan.
Yeah.
You got to do this. You got to do this. But you don't got to do this against smallpox.
Well, Alex is usually on coffers. I don't know if Sam knows about the pivot just yet. Oh boy, concealed courtyard.
Wait, but did
Just
Alex
spoiled
keep a
for
one-lander?
OTJ.
Oh, yeah.
Did he
with
really?
With their
Ooh,
train.
That's a strong hammer start. Sigardizade into Ornithopter for Sam.
Alex has a swamp. Oh, man, we drew Kalidas? Shout out to anybody who's been playing with Kalidas.
All right, we'll take a look at Alex's deck list here. During sideboards, we'll see a Profane Tutor.
Is he doing
correct?
the Soren show? Oh, my gosh.
Yes, because he's got Vein Ripper in there. So, yes, he's doing the Pioneer thing, and he's playing Soren and Vein Ripper.
Alex is at 10. Don't look away. Come back. Look.
It's here, it's here. There's a hammer in the field. Oh, and there's no more creatures to hold the hammer. We'll play a Liliana, -2-er. Tail is old as time. Does Soren? Yes.
Soren Vein Ripper.
Yes.
Here's
There's another thing to hold a hammer, but it costs a lot more to equip it now.
Now, we were talking amongst ourselves between the rounds about upcoming OTJ cards that can really beef up archetypes. Have you seen the new equipment for Hammer?
I have not. Tell me about it.
1 mana, a.k.a. Urza Saga Bull.
Okay.
Equip for 1.
Ooh.
Equipped creature gets haste and ward 1.
I mean, yeah. Yeah,
the fact
that seems great.
All your Stoneforges and your Sagas can turn into now haste or lifelink trample is going to give you a lot of ways to push the buttons.
A lot of fun plays there. Yeah, haste is the one thing that
they boots. I believe they were spoiled in Chinese.
Boots?
They are boots, but they were spoiled in Chinese, so I believe we don't quite know the direct English translation for the cards. They're called lava skin boots. There's something.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're cool. They're made of molten lava.
Very cool. Yeah, lots of flavor for sure on Outlaws of Thunder Junction.
So picture the play Saga, activate Saga, go get Shadow Spear, attack for a little bit. What if it was make a construct, go get the boots, give the new one haste, get in with both constructs.
That seems great. Yeah, I'm sold.
Yeah.
Let's do it. That's one of the 2 modern decks I still have built is Hammer and Merfolk. So
if you have a Sigardizade in play, you could flash in a way to give ward 1 when people aren't quite ready, basically a Mana Tithe. There's a lot of ways you can fiddle with it, as Alex is putting on a clinic while Sam is trying to draw a card of relevance. Thoughts he's snatching Stoneforge herself. And
another Liliana.
The last hope.
What's this one do?
She gives a thing -2/-1. We've got 2 Jund bangers in play. Both these Lilianas. The minus mills 2 and then takes a card out of the graveyard.
A creature card, yeah.
And then the ultimate is an ultimate.
An ultimate, yeah.
Makes a bunch of zombies.
Easy peasy there.
Oh, there she is.
You can have 2 Liliana Planeswalkers on the field?
Yeah. They can't be the same Liliana.
But they're
just Spider-Man memeing.
All right. Okay.
I was trying to think of a relevant example of this, but I blanked. We haven't had a lot of legend on legend combinations lately.
No, you don't see too many Planeswalkers. Definitely not two of the same ones. We'll see George with a Narset and a Teferi on the field every so often.
Before Pioneer was unbroken, you used to have Big Teferi and Little Teferi at the same time.
Don't remind me.
As Alex
Don't remind me.
Alex Soren shows this Vein Ripper into play, minusing the Soren, putting the Vein Ripper directly into play, plussing their Liliana, discarding their own Kalidas, and now plussing their Liliana the Last Hope.
This Vein Ripper made a huge showing at PT Karlov from
won
the
event.
Yeah, won the event. Seth Manfield.
That's correct.
Seth Manfield won the event. There's the card. Ward, sacrifice a creature. Whenever a creature dies, target opponent gains 2 life. loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. 6 mana, 6/5 flyer.
I'm afraid your investigation has reached a dead end. And this card does kill you dead.
I bet it do. It seems very scary. Haven't played against it myself, but I know people are a big fan of it, and obviously the results speak for itself.
Oh, Drew the Cauldron. What a huge card that you just can't cast. Eaten up by the Liliana of the Veil.
Each player discards a card there. Alex, of course, working with no cards in his hand.
Now plussing the Sorin to put a counter on a creature and getting in for big damage with the Vein Ripper.
Big damage. 7 plus 2, 9 brings Sam down to 8.
Yeah, and we've given this Vein Ripper lifelink from the Sorin ability, just really just swinging the life totals back and forth and picking it up.
That's enough. Alex will take game 1 here in this points race. Smallpox taken down, Colossus Hammer, hammer time. Let's take a look at this Smallpox list, ladies and gentlemen. In this sideboard, 61 card main deck. Gotta mention that. Always gotta shout it out.
Always gotta shout it out.
Then we'll look at this sideboard here. Dothy Voidwalker, Plague Engineer, Orvar the Allform, Break the Ice, D-Spark, of course, those cursed totems as usual, Stony Sounds, and an Ensnaring Bridge.
Huh.
I know most of these cards. Orvar I haven't seen in a long time.
Creativity's coming back.
Yeah. Break the Ice. Break the Ice. I know the sets these are all from, but that's not very helpful
Break the Ice destroys target land.
Okay.
The thing that I'm wondering is...
Why? Oh, because it's like Smallpox, so you just like...
And you got to beat Tron.
Sure.
You just got to beat him. The thing that I'm wondering is these Stony Silences sitting at the bottom here. We do come to times where we need to actually activate the artifacts in the Hammer deck, whether it's popping something that we find off our Urza's Saga, whether it's paying the actual activation cost for an equipment. I feel like we'll find enough uses for these Stony Silence that if you feel you want them, you could bring them in. But I notice in our main deck, we have 4 copies of the One Ring. So if you want Stony Silence, that means you can't have the Ring. And the Ring is incredible against Hammer. So I will not recommend. But the final card in this sideboard, the Ensnaring Bridge, seems like a really good one to just put a giant stop sign in front of your Hammer opponent. That they need to get a little trickier. They'll literally need to like flash a Hammer into play because they can't be declared as an attacker if they're wearing one.
Right, exactly. So you can go to attacks with the 1/1, like a Ginger Brute, for example, and the Ensnaring Bridge will check then, and after that check, you can put that Hammer into play. So there are still ways for the Hammer deck to play around Ensnaring Bridge. I still think it's worth including, especially since there aren't too many other good options. I do want to point out this one of Evelyn the Covetous.
Oh, Evelyn? What's up, girl?
Just because this card doesn't see too much play, it's a card from Capenna. Whenever she or another vampire enters the battlefield under control, exile the top card of each player's library with a collection counter, and then you can play a card from exile with a collection counter on it, and you can spend any mana.
If you're familiar with Gonti, it's basically Gonti but cares about vampires.
For sure, yeah. It seems good, synergizes with the other vampires in the list, obviously.
Alex has kind of a little sampler platter of vampires that I'd like to win the game with. You see 2 Vein Ripper, an Evelyn, a Cletus, and an Anya. But outside of that, we have the cards that we saw before, and these big Lilianas and the Sorens to sneak them in. And then the Smallpox package in the 4 copies of the namesake card, Smallpox.
Absolutely. We'll look at a Hammer list real quick, or I think our players are shuffling them very quickly here. We'll see Sam's list right quick here. We've got Blacksmith Skill, Prismatic Ending, Spell, Pierce, Reprieve, Failure to
Comply.
Thank you. Pithy Needle, Soul Guide Lancer, and those Cursed Totems.
This is Disgruntled Elk's updated list.
He's a good Hammer player. If you like to play Hammer, you should give him a follow for sure. The man's very good at the game, good with the deck.
So a very important thing is I think we want to bring in these cards like these Spell Pierces and the Reprieves in place of any copies of Surge of Salvation that we're working with.
Okay.
Because what's going to happen is we need to counter cards like Sorin and Shieldrick's Edict as opposed to direct targeted removal spells.
Exactly. Good points there. We'll go back down to the action, though. Sam will be on the play here. Hopefully he can keep a couple more cards this time. Start off with the Plains, Ornithopter, and...
Springleaf Drum and Esper Sentinel. Okay.
Esper Sentinel. Good
We're
stuff
eating.
there. Dump that hand before the Pox player makes you lose it.
No joke. As we see Alex plays Swamp and sends it back. This is what we need as a Hammer player. We need to be fully in control of the flow of the game.
Absolutely.
Some may call it tempo, but you can always feel the back and forth of a game, right? And you want to be on the front foot of feeling it. Draw that card for free. Thank you, Esper Sentinel. And then the Surge after drawing the card.
Did he draw the Surge? That would have been fun.
It's the best feel, right? Directly into hand, directly out of hand.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Esper Sentinel will remain there. Thoughtseize, and we will pay
Okay,
this
we're
time
paying.
for it. We'll see 2 cards, a Soul Guide Lantern and an Inkmoth
Mhm.
Nexus. Soul Guide Lantern will be the only legal play there, but that Inkmoth Nexus is very valuable information.
So theory question overall.
Absolutely.
Your opponent has an Esper Sentinel, and you're casting this Thoughtseize. Do you not pay for them to draw another card to give yourself more options to choose from?
I think that's a really good question. Yeah.
But you have to give them another card, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But then if, they're digging towards a hammer, do you kind of let them dig in hopes of tagging one? Or do what Alex did, which is they have as few cards as possible and try to take as much as you can.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of room to get punished there if they already have a good card in hand and then you're just giving them more resources.
Right. You almost never want to give your opponent a card.
Yeah.
But you want to always make sure you think about it.
It is a good question. I think we arrived to the conclusion that no, you're still gonna pay. You don't want to give them more resources. But it's a fun thought experiment, like you said. Esper Sentinel continues to turn sideways here. Alex down to 16 to Sam's 19. We're up to Liliana of the Veil mana. Flagstones of Tarkir will
Trocaire.
be Trocaire. Thank you. And
Once
Soren
they make up enough names,
will be the 3-mana Planeswalker instead.
Sneak, and there's the Vein Ripper.
And we'll do the thing, put the Vein Ripper into play. How's that 1/1 look next to my 6/5 flyer with Ward?
Right, we can't even get in for a little cheeky damage with this Inkmoth Nexus as the Vein Ripper is in the skies.
No cheeky damage.
No, none. I was watching the European tour over the weekend.
Did they say cheeky a lot over there?
Yeah.
That's fair. Was Will doing some commentary?
Yes.
I bet that's a common saying of his. Some life total switching around here with this Vein Ripper life link from the Soren. 12 to 23 is the new life total in Alex's favor.
And a Liliana of the Veil.
Looking good. Lily will be that other Planeswalker to join Soren. Gets to pick. Oh, draw off the Esper Sentinel.
Yep. Draw the card.
Well spotted there. And we'll just plus her instead.
Oh, and the last card in Alex Luke's hand is Ensnaring Bridge. We spent all this time emptying our own hand, but our Vein Ripper is so big, we want to attack with him.
We do. We can just hold on to it. I think we're in a pretty safe position at this point. We are hypothetically scared of, Inkmoth Hammer kill you.
But our Vein Ripper is also trying to kill Sam as fast as possible.
Exactly, yeah. With two turn clock here. Got a Profane Tutor is the draw.
Yeah, the question is like, if you want to apply as much pressure as you can, right? You want to give this Vein Ripper, but you don't want to accidentally just die to a flyer with a hammer on the crackback.
Right. Liliana minus will clean up the Esper Sentinel. Smack with the Vein Ripper will take down the Ornithopter.
Because it's hard, right? You see Alex gaining all this life, but Infect does not care.
Does not care indeed.
So if I'm Sam, I'm trying to figure out how do I kill with this Inkmoth.
Fetch in here. Thin the deck, seems good. Also need the resources as well. We'll grab another blue source in our Hollowed Fountain. Profane Tutor suspended by Alex on his last turn as well.
Big draws here, Sam. Big draws.
Come on, man. You got this.
11 to 31. This is basically our last moment to get a guy, give him a bonking stick, and pass the turn.
Just a pass. All right. Not dead. Not dead yet.
Not dead yet. Not dead after all. And that's a discard.
Yeah.
Lands on both sides. Soren just make this Vein Ripper into a 9/9. You can see why this combo won a Pro Tour.
Yep.
This thing's just huge.
Yeah, they were playing Pioneer there, too. It's playable in Modern? Oh, my goodness.
The best way to win games is to pay the least mana for the biggest spells. And in this case, it's your 9/9.
Reprieve. All right, draw a card. What we get?
Wow, and that was so risky of Alex to cast that because you couldn't attack with your own Vein Ripper because of it. And Sam got to cash in this Reprieve to draw a card.
Maybe he's just really hedging against the Inkmoth kill.
Oh, wow, Sam, hammer,
it's
Pierce.
So close. He had one of the pieces, but not the other. Had the hammer to put on the Inkmoth, but no way to equip it.
And,
we'll
and we're doing
fall.
the quick count of just how many lands we drew that game.
Yeah.
It's rough to have a mull to 4 and then flood out just a little in your hard aggro deck against this mono black just trying to take all your cards away from you strategy.
I feel like Sam has had a lot of bad luck on stream. Honestly, we've had him on, and I think he's played his best. He's played Hammer for a while and is very skillful at it, and has had some bad beats. Unfortunately, we'll fall to 0-2 here in our very last night of our Modern League.
But a big moment for that number 4. Alex needs every victory we can get.
He does indeed. We'll move into our backup match though and see what they're doing over there.
Oh.
Returning from a couple of months not playing at the store is Clark on Murktide, and Arman, longtime regular on Yawgmoth in a similar position as Sam, is 1-0 at 12th on our leaderboard. Let's see where exactly he is. Point total, he is at 74. Ooh, that's quite a deficit, yeah.
But also, speaking of deficit, Arman is 2 lands ahead of Clark here. So not only are you a Murktide player trying to catch up and just get your cards of relevance against an onboard Yawgmoth already, but you're 2 land drops behind, which makes me think we had either a rough mull or we started with these 2 and just have not found more yet.
I think it was maybe some of the is it keeps where it's like I have lands and cantrips.
I'll figure it out.
I'll find what I need eventually.
But then it's so hard when you see lands. You're like, but I want more spells. And it's like, you need to take the lands. You got to take some of these.
Oh, I've definitely been there before. Yeah, we'll see what Murktide is able to do here on Holy Heat. Got some Delirium.
Looks like we've even had 2 baubles. So we've definitely been digging and just not finding them.
Artifact. Is that a creature? What's that second card there?
The Dragon's Channeler. We got the
Dragon's
Spell Pierce, Sorcery. So we got all the non-land cards from Murktide. Getting the full 4. We're going to do a little bit of Yawg dance here before he leaves.
We do have an Undying creature with the Young Wolf, so we're able to get some value there. Go down to 18.
Turn into tons of cards. This Yawgmoth just becomes like super ancestral before it leaves.
Yeah, sure. Oh, is that 3 Bowmasters I just saw in Arman's hand?
Clark.
No. Oh, boy. Okay.
2 mana. Here we go.
Okay.
It's time for the bowing.
There's
the
one.
The bow. The bows are bowing. We're shooting. The arrows are flying. And it's not
We're
gonna
getting
stop.
ready for Outlaws at Thunder Junction.
Pew, pew.
Pew, 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 pew.
I got my thunder rifle. I'm ready.
Yeah, I think they're probably using guns, not like bows and
They're
arrows.
called thunder rifles.
Thunder rifles. Whoa.
In Thunder Junction, we fight with thunder rifles.
Sure. I don't know too much lore about the plane that OTJ takes place on.
I was listening to a podcast on the way here.
Yeah, tell me about it. Don't ask.
That's it. That's all I got. They got thunder blasters.
That's the only piece of knowledge that you gained from the whole ride over.
Yeah. Oh, Express Federation. You want to work around some Bowmasters and find your land drops? Do I have the card for you?
Yeah, the text put into your hand.
Put it.
Versus
Do not draw.
Very strong here. Very strong. Yeah, you gotta slam that.
Arman, what do you do? Oh, okay.
Okay.
Our opponent's tapped out. That's we are attacking while they are tapped out.
All right, resolving this Express
That's a land.
Federation.
That's
sees
a land.
some lands.
That's a Stern Scolding. These are great.
These are great.
So I'm putting that Stern Scolding in hand.
Ooh.
I'm putting that Spiral Canal in exile. Yep. And I'm going to play that Spire Bluff. And there's a Brotherhood's End in Clark's hand, which means once we can clear this up, we can literally clear it all up.
Exactly. Stern Scolding is also a spell we can now play as well. I think, was it a Bolt, too, that we have?
Oh, okay. So we're ready. We're ready to fight.
We don't have too much wiggle room, though. We're at 8 life here.
Yeah, and we're just gonna attack.
Yeah. Turn stuff sideways.
We play this Blood Artist. So if you want to kill some stuff, it's going to get even worse for you.
So got to respond with the Blood Artist on the stack.
Clark's body language was not a big fan of what was happening there.
Ooh, my
We got a Veil for the
goodness.
Stern Scolding. We get to draw a card. We've got a Bowmaster to back up after all this attack.
Is that it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not quite.
We got to deal 8. Ooh, push.
Push indeed.
But then if Clark basically tries to do anything in the way of drawing cards or whatnot,
right.
Because Clark's most likely going to untap, try to slam this Brotherhood's End, Arman's going to go, okay, flash in their Bowmaster and win on the next turn. So we need like Stern Scolding, land, and right. We need a way to deal with stuff. And if we even try to play this Wrath, the Blood Artist is in play, takes us out. So it's just we're dead all which ways. And that's Yawgmoth taking it down 2-0. Our number 12 seed trying to punch up as much as we can over the course of the next 2 rounds.
Indeed, absolutely. There's still money to be won in general tonight as
Of
well.
course,
There's
every
there's
day.
always weekly payout to be had, so winning games is good in general. Arman, I think out of the points race at this point, but great performance there against a Murktide player. That was both of our feature matches for round 2.
Speedy.
Before we head into a break, though, if you want to buy any of the cards you've seen on stream, you want to build a new Pioneer deck for RCQ season, check out nerdragegaming.com. We have thousands of different cards for you to purchase. We ship countrywide. You can schedule for in-store pickup or series pickup as well. We have a series event on the 20th, release weekend for OTJ, so check out nerdragegaming.com. We also have foils and non-magic cards on nrg.tcgplayerpro.com. With that being said, we'll see you back for round 3. Stay tuned.
See y'all soon.
Welcome back, folks. We're in round 3 of 4 in our very last night of Wednesday Night Modern League. We have the number 2 seed, George Jabor, trying to take home that number 1 spot. And Blake is trying to be in his way for that.
Usurper.
They are 2 and 0. We're about to get started here. George has that companion app out with the Narsa on his side. Look at that. And it looks like he's on the play for game 1.
Viva, do you have any good icebreakers when you sit down and play against your opponent?
I'm so glad you asked. If you guys didn't know, in the companion app, you can actually change the picture that appears on the companion app. It's by default, Elsbeth and Narseb. You can choose between a bunch of other planeswalkers. And I like to ask my opponent if they want to pick someone else to be.
Dibs on Vraska.
Dibs on Vraska. That's a good one.
Best choice.
I like to pick Narsa. I like to take Narsa. She's rad.
Speaking of pick, Blake here choosing on the scrying on our preordained, just getting started here. George with a fetch land on turn 1, probably very likely to find either a Triumph or Surveil land. Joyfully, it's a choice now in Magic, right? There's like actually some, will they, won't they, on what we're finding on these turn 1 fetches. If we have bindings that we need to make sure are very active, we can go find these Triumphs, and if we need to fix our hand, we can go find Surveil lands.
Absolutely. So Rogren will be the Triumph of choice for George. Starting his second turn here will be another fetch.
So this is the Misty, which can go get the Zagoth to get full domain, have access to turn 2 binding. If Blake plays something like a Ledger Shredder, Questing Druid, some sort of 2-drop that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah, absolutely. Murktide, a very popular deck in the format. We don't see it too often here. There's definitely like Murktide players here every week, but our regulars don't really play it too much, I would say.
I will put it nicely.
Sure.
We typically feature players who are winning.
Murktide is what people have called it, like a very like 50% kind of deck.
It's New Jund. Is 50% in all of its matchups, but never good, never great.
Yeah.
But it's all good cards. Every card in the Murktide deck is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow when they all come together, they're fine. It's the only place you can play Express Federation in like all of Magic.
I know. It's like the best card.
It's so good.
Banned and like is good.
Everything else.
Yeah.
But here, it's in a deck that a lot of people joke about.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I used to play a good bit of Murktide, and I kind of fell off the deck. It just didn't do the things that I wanted to be doing in a game. I don't know. I was surprised, honestly, when I fell out of favor with it, because I do like, the sort of halfway between like creature and control, or aggro and control, right? Like a sort of tempo deck where you play creatures but also hold up like counter magic, like that kind of thing.
The Protect the Queen strategy.
Yeah.
Tried and true, the Delver-esque. Put a thing in play, interact with you until that thing kills you. If you take care of this thing, I'll make a new thing, and I'll take care of you. And that truly is like how the deck is formulated. And I think a part of the issue there is other decks have like 7 queens, and Murktide is putting like 2 queens. It's like, well, this chess game is just very lopsided every time.
Sure. I feel like we've seen Murktide players able to win without a Murktide, though, several times, right? They have a lot of creatures that can really get them there, 4, 8 1-drops in Ragavan and Dragon's Rage Channeler.
Those are the queens, absolutely. And that, I mean, like a card that you put in play and you hope to like ride it to victory for as long as you can.
Basically, yeah. Blake will pass back here with a breeding pool tapped and 2 blue sources open.
Just playing George's game. George is just land go so quick and casually. What's really difficult, I think, about the Murktide deck in general is there are so many micro decisions. It presents you the decision over and over and over again. What land to fetch for? Every single Surveil one, every preordain, every Express Federation, every DRC trigger. It's like every Mishra's Bauble before you fetch. Like there are so many fiddly decisions, every little tiny piece.
Yeah, Blake opting to just shock in a land and then pass. I was really expecting him to play his Express Federation in hand on George's end step, because George isn't going to play a spell until Blake makes him.
Throw the bolt.
Is just gonna toss a bolt at George's face and pass it back here.
The issue is George is on the play, so as long as each player is making a land drop, George will be a mana source ahead. You can see Blake is trying to build up to a hand that can EI while holding up some amount of counter magic, but George doesn't have to pay the initial 2 mana of Blake playing the EI, and will have such a mana advantage on playing that fight. So the issue is Blake and the Murktide will always be a beat behind in all of the counter wars.
That's really well said there. Blake will play a Mishra's Bubble, which doesn't cost anything. And we'll take a look at George's top card, which is a fetch land. It's a little bit of good information there. We're just going to go for it. Here comes the Murktide.
This
Pitching a
is
full 5, not not all instants or
yes.
sorcery, so just 2 counters on it.
I think this might have been one of those situations, and it always feels weird, where you may have wanted to bobble yourself because you see George has a fetch land, so they're very likely to change what that top card is at some point. As you see, this counter war, Blake just does not have the literal mana to keep up, while George can fight through the entire thing while still having mana to crack this fetch.
Yeah, Leyline into Counterspell into Force of Negation. We'll leave that Murktide under a binding, and then George on his turn will crack a fetch, or in Blake's end step, excuse
Yep.
me.
And Blake wished we could have fought back with the other amounts of counterspells in our hand, but the issue is you're the first to flinch, and when you're the first to flinch, you spent your mana first.
I'm really surprised he went for the Murktide over the EI there, right? Murktide is the bomb. That's how you're killing them,
Yep.
right? So I feel like you kind of throw the EI first, see if he bites there. If he doesn't, you know you have more cards that he eventually has to bite on.
And now the Murktide player is tapped out. At most, maybe playing one Force of Negation, maybe in your Murktide deck. George feels really safe and slams the One Ring and is going to now start like rocketing forward on value.
Well pointed out by a chatter as well. Blake forgot his bobble trigger on George's turn.
All the little fiddly knobs of Murktide, they can really add up sometimes.
Absolutely. We'll go for the EI now with George having just 1 mana open. George will tank for a second there and then allow it to resolve. We'll see fetch, bolt, and a basic.
3 blank pieces of cardboard.
Basically, yeah.
It feels I don't know what it is or how blue-white isn't that popular, because I feel like so many games it just gets in this spot of like, I have 5 lands and a grip of cards in hand that your opponent, feel so helpless.
Yeah.
It must be like the presence of like zoo decks and like very fast stuff
I was
that
gonna
are
say,
applying so much pressure on these decks.
Yeah, there's some decks that just don't let George get into this position, right?
Yeah, you want to put
they
him on
go
the back foot. And he's been on the front from the first land drop of this game.
I would say so, yeah. Blake hasn't put too much pressure on him at all. With this ring now in play, he's just going to continue to increase his advantage.
And now we've drawn a Narset, we drew another Force of Negation, we drew our land drop for turn. You know, great player once said that the best ramp spell is hitting your land every turn. Like, you will just develop, you will just be ahead if you just continue to drop lands into play.
Teferi will go on the stack, countered by Blake, and then Force of Negation by George.
And George is willing and able to use this Force Negation for just actual factual mana, because once Teferi is in play, it shuts down so many of the other pieces of interaction.
Exactly.
And now the hard part is we can even go up with this Teferi, but we could, because Blake's graveyard is only the EI, because we'd eat so much for the Murktide. They don't have Delirium, so we don't have to be that scared of an Unholy Heat if we're looking to keep this for a while. George cashing in here, getting his card while he can.
Now we finally do have something for this bolt, at the very least in Blake's hand.
Which we probably have to, right? We have to try to get Teferi off the board because it invalidates so much of your cardboard.
Absolutely, yeah. Murktide likes to play stuff at instant speed too.
Or it might be worth it to fire off this Unholy Heat if you think it's going to be harder to get good targets, and 2 is just not as much as 3 if you're going to have trouble getting Delirium.
Agreed, yeah. You can't send an Unholy Heat at an opponent.
No, sometimes, ooh, for 6? All right.
That'd be great. Oh my goodness.
Burn be figuring out ways to get Delirium, no questions asked.
Gosh darn. Oh, I'd love to build. Can we just like make an alchemy deck? Can we alchemy Unholy Heat to
May I interest you in MH3?
I just saw your face drop when I said the word alchemy. I'm so sorry.
Georgie Boy here again continues to make our land drop every single turn. Now we're just going to play another ring, the one that we picked up with our Teferi. Counterspell? That's fine.
Yeah?
You were just, the Murktide player's running out of cards. The best way I feel to play against Murktide is kill every threat they put in play and then just slowly run them out of cards. They might be drawing like a preordained unexpression here or there, but they also draw like a lot of air and more guys you can just shoot.
Sure, yeah. Fetch there. I wonder if Blake doesn't have Surveil lands in his deck, because I feel
the
like this
Thundering
would be...
Falls is already in play, and I think it's
maybe it's just a 1-0.
like a 1. Yeah,
I see,
Murktide really wants their land to be untapped for the first couple of turns. Though I feel like you can always sneak a Surveil land. I've always found like a moment like, oh, I could sneak this in right here. And Murktide, it's perfect. Just 1, try it out, mill over, make sure Murktide's better, your Delirium better, all that.
Totally. All right, draw for turn will be the Dragon's Rage Channeler, and that will be the play for turn as well. Check for Delirium there.
3 types it looked like, instant sorcery land, so we're close.
Close. If the DRC dies, that's 4.
Oh, but we're incoming a Narset Gyre Reach
Oh
lock.
boy, yeah. There's that secret layer card. You see the little pink land there will be
The
the
pink is
Gyres.
gorgeous.
Gyres Reach Sanitarium can perform a bit of a lock with Narset in that she does not allow people to draw more than 1 card a turn. Gyres Reach forces both players to draw.
Yeah, so what'll happen is you'll most likely see this on Blake's turn if George doesn't find a use for their mana, is, oh, both players loot, but Blake already has drawn for turn. So when they try to draw, Narcissist says no, but they must still discard.
Yeah,
So
they have to complete the full action.
Yes. So your Gyre Reach might, over time, start becoming your opponent just discards a card, as long as you can protect your Narset.
Prismatic Ending targeting the Dragon's Rage Channeler will force Blake to send a bolt at the Narset, triggering a Surveil there. He will opt to keep that on top before the Dragon's Rage Channeler goes into the bin.
And that's what I was saying, right? Just
Not the bin, in exile.
Spend your stuff just killing off every threat.
Yeah.
I even found Murtai can kind of just run out of threats.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pick your poison. We're going to get our 3/3 back.
All right, okay.
This is the smallest Murktide, but the second one feeds the first one. So we
It
find another
does,
Murktide,
it
we can get up to
does.
2 big Murktides.
Yeah, that's a bit of ways, I want to say. That's a very optimistic line.
And George just drew another binding to make up for the one they lost before, as well as a Solitude and a Subtlety in hand. So really prepare to control whatever Blake has and whatever Blake's going to find after it.
Yep. Not looking too good for Blake at this point. George, with the card advantage in general is just something really hard to overcome.
And the last card in hand for our Murktide player is an Odawara.
Ooh, do it. Bounce the Murktide back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Save yourself from the Solitude,
Yeah.
recast it, make it bigger.
Yeah. There you go.
Pick it up.
Nice.
Pick it up. Very
Good stuff,
nice.
dude.
Love.
And then because you have more mana,
Yeah.
you can
Untap, eat a bunch, make a
keep-
big guy.
keep more stuff in the yard for Delirium.
I mean, I'm an Odawara lover. I love Odawara.
Just eat all the relevant stuff there. Oh, do we have a full 5? Oh, dang.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, it
Go
really
off.
it really sucks if we run into this Leyline binding or
It's
another
gonna
Solitude,
yeah.
but
A Brazen Borrower in hand. Bounce it back.
this
Wait,
is the-
no. Is Brazen Borrower only opponent?
Yes. But we can bounce the Leyline and at least like kind of dance a little. The thing is here comes the Kahira and starts pushing with the Solitude.
Mama
It-
Bear. Mama Elk.
It might be worth it when you play against a deck like George's where you expect a lot of removal to not Murktide for as big as you possibly can in hopes that you can make the second one a little medium as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I saw Blake eat the full 5, and I was like, oh, that's great. That's a big Murktide. And then I was like, oh, no.
But wait, yeah.
Oh, no.
There's such a balance. Like I said, every little bit of playing Murktide is very difficult.
Indeed. George with a pretty commanding presence at this point has a Solitude, Kahira, Teferi on 5, Leyline Binding covering up a Murktide, Gyre's Reach.
Yeah, this
7 total lands total.
We're approaching the
Excuse
squeeze
me.
where it just feels impossible. And I believe we've even had Dress Down in hand. We've been floating forever from the first Narset. If Blake tries to get a Ragavan or a DRC or a something going. Doing a cow, this big Teferi and Narset. The whole team's here. Solitude, Kahira, Teferi, and Narset. They're all here.
They're all here. Yeah, George doing what he's does best.
Yep. Grabbing another ring off this Narset. Saying, I'm at 21. I've got all the toys in the world, and I have this ring for when time comes.
Indeed, let's talk about George's leaderboard position here as well. He is
Skyrocketing.
number 2. Number 1 is not in the building tonight, unfortunately. He did have a planned absence. George missed a week earlier in the league, which should
Yeah.
put them even for number of weeks attended. But it looks like even...
George overtook him with 0 wins today, and we are
Exactly.
at 2 wins already.
Yes, indeed. So
So-
just cementing his lead for the other people, hoping to catch up with him as well. He was 3 points under Adam in first place, and then Marty was 3 points behind him. Marty is not having too good a night.
There's
so
a
probably
scrum
not
at the
catching up
top.
with him there. Yeah, George looking to take home the first spot tonight, though. And you can see why here, just putting on an absolute clinic of blue-white control. Completely locked down this
Right.
Murktide opponent. He's not even on camera anymore. Completely leaned back to F6. He's got a Brazen Borrower in play.
When your blue-white player uses their Guy Reach Sanitarium and discards their Supreme Verdict, it's over. It's over. It's time to go home. There's another round. It's time to go home.
Yeah, yep.
Take up your ball and go home.
Yeah, and I think at this point,
Prismatic ending for your one relevant card in play. Gotcha.
I think we're in scooping range here. I think we gotta
Yep, that's 4 damage.
we gotta huddle up and figure out a game plan for game 2 here.
And I think a part of what defined this game is we were talking about we need aggression against blue-white, and we just didn't have a Ragavan or a Darcy or something on those first couple of turns.
Exactly.
George got to play Drago for their first 5 land drops, and that's just not going to be the way.
Yeah, absolutely. The scariest part for blue-white control is those early
First
turns.
few turns.
And Blake did not put nearly enough pressure there. We'll go to sideboards, though, and take a look at deck list. Here's George's fully submitted 75. His sideboard consists of Kahira in that companion spot, Subtlety, Stern Scolding, Days Undoing, Force of Negation, Supreme Verdict, Chalice of the Void, Rest in Peace, and Gemstone Caverns.
I'm feeling a little light. Chalice of the Void, probably choosing 1. Cleans up a lot of what Murktide is doing, ways of trying to interact with you.
Creatures and spell, or
Yep.
non-permanents, yeah.
If you're getting a little scared of the creatures, Stern Scolding, make sure you have answers to the Ragavans, to the DRCs, and possible Ledger Shredders is good. Covers a lot of bases. Force of Negation if you really, really want to fight back on stuff. And, oh yeah, we won game 1, so let's get these Gemstone Caverns in here.
Exactly, yeah. Gotta include that. Gemstone Caverns.
Oh yeah.
Sure. Take
Hey,
the playback.
Take the playback.
Exactly.
It is maybe the most underutilized toy available to decks in Modern is if you do or don't think that your deck could be increased in power by every now and again snatching that playback. Is that worth one sideboard / mainboard slot to you to have such high roll possibilities?
So I guess my question is, every single time you're on the draw, do you bring it in, or does it depend on the matchup?
If it's here, I'm bringing it in every time.
Okay.
If
Here as in like the local store?
No, if I have it.
Oh,
right. If
got
I have it in my deck, it's here to be in every single game that I'm on the draw. George understanding that he's not quite really willing to risk it in a not knowing the situation game 1, so it's sitting in the sideboard, right? It's only for when you're on the draw and need to catch up. I imagine it's also very helpful against cards like or decks like Amulet Titan or whatever. They're trying to go really, really fast. This is your way as a control player to catch up.
That's a very good point there. Let's take a look at a Murktide list as well. Blake hasn't submitted one, so we've grabbed one off of MTG Goldfish here for you to look at. These are blue-red cards. Classic Murktide. You've seen it once. You've seen it twice. We'll look at this sideboard, though. Magus of the Moon, Subtlety.
A null?
A null, sure. Flusterstorm, Spell Snare, Stern Scolding, Cast into the Fire, Brotherhood End, Force of Negation, Unlicensed Hearse, and Blood Moon.
At a minimum, if you have access to cards like Force of Negation, you're going to want it. You need to fight against Teferi, Narset, the Ring, and the likes. And if you're feeling a little spicy, you could access your Magus of the Moon. It won't work. There's 6 basics on the other side, but some people feel the need. And the other options, if you have anything like Cast into the Fire, anything with Exile and Artifact, the Ring is how the control deck can really, really like ratchet back up on cards and ways to interact with you. If you can deal with that, it might help you deal with the rest.
I kind of like Unlicensed Hearse as well. It does this nice thing that avoids like kill spells, I guess Prismatic Ending still gets it, which is really nasty. But I was thinking,
and Binding it's in Solitude gets it.
Yeah, okay.
It's hard, but
I've talked myself out of it.
It could be a big threat, and it could be a way to slowly over time pump up your Murktides.
Yeah, I was just thinking, it's not a creature always, so it gets around stuff. But Blue Eye Control's got non-creature targets, so Blake will be on the play here for game 2 in our 3rd round of the night. Looks like players have kept hands, and we've started our game. Now we got a turn 1 play for Blake. We got this Dragon's Rage Channeler.
Which is a big part because it's either going to force action out of George early, which means they don't have those cards late, or you get to apply actual pressure with it.
Yeah, we might actually get some early game life total damage here. Meticulous Archive will be the land for play in George, and he will pitch a Dress Down to the graveyard there. Back on Blake's turn. Looking at bunch of lands, a Murktide, Counterspell, and then I believe it's a bolt. I don't think you're keeping Unholy Heats in against a Blue Eye Control player. Yeah, it is a bolt.
And here we have a Pick Your Poison in hand, a card that's going to allow us to answer the Ring, Leyline Bindings, and Subtleties.
Yep.
So a lot of cards that can help you deal with.
Prismatic Ending will go on the stack here, and Blake will Counterspell it. Trigger Surveil. We'll see a Preordain. I think that's fine to leave on top, honestly.
Unless you're trying to aggressively get towards Delirium, right? We've been missing Sorcery And Preordained's whole job is to get deeper in the library, so if we mill it over, we're kind of doing the same
I was
thing.
gonna say if you cast it next turn, it still goes to the library or goes to the bin. Second prismatic ending on George's main phase will take care of the Dragon's Rage Channeler eventually. Back on Blake's turn here. Draw for turn will be a land. No, he already had the land. It will be another bolt.
Yeah, we've got Unholy Heat, Bolt, Pick Your Poison, and Murktide proper.
Oh, excuse me. It was a heat. It's very hard for me to tell the difference between the two.
Between red lightning and red lightning?
Yeah.
For sure, absolutely.
If I could just get a peek at those set symbols, please, sir.
And George still getting set up, surveilling here with this hedge maze. But we kind of made it through, right? We've answered a card. We're putting our
Ooh.
chalice on one.
Lost Caverns of Ixalan, Chalice of the Void.
Beautiful.
Very, very pretty. Chalice for 1.
Shutting down a lot, so might as well send this bolt upstairs. We might never see it again.
About to say, yeah. Can't cast the Pick Your Poison to clear up the chalice either.
No, yeah, that's
Very
really important,
unfortunate.
right? Because the main draw to Murktide is playing the cheapest cards possible. Pick Your Poison, such a cheap sideboard option, but same thing. It slots right in with all these ones. Now we can feed the chalice, throw our ones into it, and then cast this Murktide.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
we surveilled a Preordain away and then drew another Preordain as well.
perfect. The information that's changed, the chalice on one, and the just shutdown of our whole hand.
Yep. So we've got 3 cards in our grave right now. Delve for a maximum of 5 to bring a Murktide down to 2 cost.
Oh. We might be thinking about just
you can
spending
still cast. You can still cast those cards.
Recommend. Oh, another one. Yeah, I said I was feeling these chalices.
Oh yeah.
There's just so many ones in Murktide. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Blake
Oh,
Blake doing the
Yeah.
thing. He's picked up on it. He's doing it.
Yep, we're gonna throw some spells into it. Oh yeah, just surveil in into surveil in, just
Mhm.
picking through the deck, being like top card seems good to me.
All right, we've drawn a land, so we don't need to cast the last spell to the Murktide. I think you might still, just to beef it up.
But we might be feeling like a mid tide, so we can maybe do another mid tide later.
Maybe hold up two mana sources just to what's it called? Feign a counterspell.
Yeah, because now with this counter spell, we've put a 5th source in. We could tap 2, leave up 2, put a little fear in them. But then when we don't cast the counter spell, the fear is over, and George is not going to respect it.
All right, there. Here comes the Murktide.
Here comes Murktide.
You gotta delve first before George needs to commit to a counterspell there. And speaking of, we'll see the Magicon counterspell go.
And now we need help.
Now we need help. The Murktide player is in trouble indeed. Yo, it's George. Welcome, chatter. George is a mainstay on this stream, and he's currently fighting to get that #1 seed in our very last night of Modern League here. We're giving away over $1,000 tonight. Our league pool has racked up a lot of earnings there over our 12 weeks, and we're giving it all away to top 8 tonight.
Give it away, give it away, give it away now.
Not yet.
Oh.
Soon.
Give it away later.
Give it away later.
As just the 4th surveil land comes into play.
Yeah, I count them too.
Yep, that's 4. We squinted and leaned forward and everything. That's 4. And now, clean up our mana. We got Teferi. We got Chalice on one. We have our Murktide opponent looking at their phone. Right? It's just like, well.
You ever get to that point against Control where you just start watching other people's matches
Yep.
and you're like, oh, they're having more fun than I am.
Ooh, we drew an Odawara. We drew Odawara.
Ooh,
Okay.
that's very good.
Odawara, my favorite card. Okay, because on George's end step, we can bounce the Chalice, and on our turn, try to push as many of our ones as possible. Okay, a little something.
Yeah, and that works around Teferi as well.
Yes.
Because you don't cast the Odawara.
Love
you
it.
just activate it, which you can Tidebinder, and it's
You
fantastic.
sure can.
But we're not going to see that here. All right. Is George past here and we're waiting on Blake? I can't tell who's got action here.
I think Blake's a thinking.
Blake's
And throwing it back. Solitude for value. It's at instant speed, so no plays for Blake for the next few minutes as George figures out which food he'd like to put on the table. We've got Solitude rumbling in there, getting a 3, gaining our 3, minusing Teferi, no bounce, just using it as a draw, continuing to hit land drops.
Seems good. Seems good. We'll use 3 of those mana to put Kahira back into play, and then on the end step, Blake is gonna
Bounce it.
do the thing. Use the Odawar to bounce the chalice, and we'll see what he's able to do on his turn now. Cheering.
That's step 1.
Let's go.
Now it's time to push.
All right, we have a Ragavan we can dash. We have an Unholy Heat. We have a Pick Your Poison.
No targets for the pick just yet.
Mm-mm.
But maybe we can bait George into playing a Leyland Binding. Stern Scolding.
Stern Scolding.
Time to yell at that monkey. It's Stern Scolding. When you really think about an abstract, is yell at it.
Just Gandalf saying, cut it out.
Oh, we drew 2 Ragavan, so this second one gets to attack. Uh-oh.
All right, force
Fetch.
George to fetch here.
Which is...
It's already turned sideways, unless Blake is just overeager here. I don't think it's on the stack anymore. Looking through George's
Ooh. I see
deck
George
here.
brought in our rest in pieces, which also makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just Murktide without a graveyard is a lot worse.
Yeah, it reduces the efficacy of your Unholy Heats and your Murktides.
The way George has been fetching, I wonder if we trimmed down copies of Leyland Binding post-board and aren't as worried about assembling Domain. We've played with mostly just this blue-white with a splash of green mana. We're going and getting Rogren Triumph right now.
Yeah, I think you prioritize getting a lot of the Surveil lands,
Yeah.
which are only two types there.
Getting as much selection as we can, drawing that pink Gaia Reach, using Teferi, replaying that Chalice, saying, you had your turn, you had your moment, but now it's time to fight back.
George will continue the beatdown here with the Kahira powered up Solitude.
All right, we have 3 of the 4 lock pieces. We just need an R set to show up, and this is the classic blue-white board state.
Indeed, indeed.
Blake drawing a 1-drop in the form of a DRC. 5 1-drops in hand against this Chalice of the Void on 1. If you are debating on if you should bring Chalices in, the answer is yes, and that is George going to 3-0 as our number 2 seed going into the day. And remember, number 1's not here, and it's time to just see how big of a lead George can slam down on Adam before the end of the night.
Exactly, yeah. I think we figured out our number 1 spot for our league. We just need to see if anyone is going to... I don't think anyone can catch up with him at this point, so we're just looking to see how the other spots are shaking out. I think we're going to let George do a victory lap, though, for our final match of the night. Backup match is finished up here. Before we head into a break, though, we are going to talk about a couple of things. Oh, we're going to bring George in for an interview. Excuse us. All right. For y'all unaware, George is a great player. In our local scene, also plays at the NRG series. If you're looking to play at the NRG series, our next event is April 20th. Release weekend for Outlaws of Thunder Junction. 10K Modern Showdown on Saturday. Sunday, 5K Legacy Trial. We love our Legacy folks, so we've got a whole event for you. Of course, everyone's favorite format, Modern, the winner of which will immediately qualify you for our championship event at the very end of the year. If you spike that showdown, you get a bunch of other fun stuff, too. Welcome to the booth, George. Come on and take a seat. Love to ask you some questions.
What's up, folks?
How's it going,
God, I
man?
haven't been back here in so long.
You got to turn that hat around, man. The 002.
The 200. It doesn't go backwards on stream?
It does actually. I think we
Sometimes.
had it reversed once, and it
Sometimes,
looked
yeah.
like you win a lot, and you were
Well,
bragging about it.
300 now. What's up, Teleria Midwest? Hey, Slayer. Hey, everybody.
Yeah, everyone's super excited to see you on
All the
stream all the
homies.
time. You got a lot of fans out there.
Yeah.
So-
I'm a fan of my fans.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's great. I love it.
I'm gonna de-sideboard while we talk.
Absolutely. Can we talk a little bit about your run in our Modern League? You're currently sitting at that number 2 spot. I think we've basically figured out that you're locked for number 1 as well.
Yes, it's been a long season.
Yeah, was
Yeah.
it going well the whole time?
Ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few weeks where we had like meme weeks.
Yeah.
There was one week where Dakota very generously handed me 2 trading posts to play with.
Right, Burlington Goat Factory.
And for whatever reason, I completely obliged. I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Sure, we're not playing for anything serious here. Might as well, but
So in the beginning, there were some weeks where it's like, oh, I'll earn those points later. I'll make it up. But towards the middle, it was like, oh my God, wait.
you actually
There's
got
only
it.
so many weeks to go. I have to put the what is it, afterburners on or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there were a couple of weeks where I was like, "Hey, do you mind like subbing in?" And you were like, "Oh, I think I really got to play."
Yeah, we're kind of close because I mean, yeah. Well, there were a lot of very consistent and good players this during the season.
Our locals are pretty stacked, I gotta say.
Yeah, and I was sweating it.
Absolutely. So, how do you feel about a blue-white control in our modern meta here at the store versus like outside and like more competitive fields? Do you tune it differently for the store versus like the series?
Yeah, I mean, almost every week except this week, since Adam's not here, I've been packing my 4 ley line of Sanctity,
Right.
and we did dodge each other. I think most of the league, for better or worse. But for the most part, it is exactly what I would play on like at an NRG or at like a 1K or something. And I've been tuning this one specifically. This is like what I'm playing today is my most updated list because of NRG Mini coming up, which is
Right.
Modern and Legacy.
Yeah.
And so
Where can they check out that deck list?
flexlot.gg/u/jabjabber. That's where they can find all my deck lists, and all my sideboard guides. And so this one I'm going to continue tuning on my Flexlot page until NRG Minneapolis, which coincides with the latest release of Outlaws of Thunder Junction.
Indeed. Have you seen any of the spoilers? Do they pique your interest at all for your deck or for other decks that you're going to be playing against?
Yes, definitely. I mean, there's been a handful so far, and I've seen the new Wrath. That's like one
Yes.
mana, and then it has like
The Spree card.
Spree. Thank
Yeah.
you. I forgot what the ability was. So it's got Spree on it, and you can. It's got a dress down on it.
Yes, that's the
attached to
first
it.
mode, and then the last mode is a Wrath, and the one in the middle is like Indestructible, I
For
believe.
your creatures, yeah. Which is really interesting for Modern. It's really expensive for Modern, but it is interesting in that you can keep your elementals around and actually win the game in a certain situation if you need to. The other card is the 2-mana Jace, which is
Yeah.
insane. I think it was very unexpected that they're going to print another 2-mana Planeswalker, because traditionally I've hated those, namely Ren and 6.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. I was thinking like Jace Vryn's Prodigy.
No, I love JVP, but Ren's been a big annoyance for me. I've been an
Sure.
anti Ren and 6 fan club president. I've been the treasurer of the fan club. I've had all sorts of chair seats on the anti Ren and 6 fan club. But the fact that you can't play this one on turns 1, turn 2, or turn 3
Yeah.
makes it very different, and it's going to slot into very different decks. It's not just a value card that you could put into any blue deck like you could with Red and 6. Just like, oh, do I have red and kind of green mana maybe? Sure, yeah, I can probably play this card.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Whereas you have to maybe, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what other plot cards come out that maybe make it worth your while to actually play this new Jace.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what people do with plot because it's some mana now to play it for free later. There's
Yeah.
a lot of different strategies that can make use of that.
It's interesting to see this whole. I mean, it's always been the case that the most busted thing to do in Magic is to not pay mana for your spells.
Yep.
And we keep coming back to these new mechanics that allow you to skirt paying mana for your spells.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm wondering now, with Violent Outburst gone, of course, in Modern, where these free mana, I don't want to pay mana for my spells decks go.
Right.
And I do wonder if they're, like with the new Jace, if there's going to be a more controlling one, maybe with everyone's favorite 3-mana enchantment, As Foretold, which I did buy a set of today.
I love that
at
card.
nerdragegaming.com. I did pick up my set just in case.
Sure.
Get to dust off the old Ancestral Visions again. We'll see. I don't know. But I'm excited. I'm keeping my eye on because it is the weekend.
Yeah.
Of
No,
NRG
it's
Mini.
it's going to be a completely unexplored meta essentially.
Which is exciting, but also scary because me and a couple of friends of mine, like Garrick Relentless or Garrick Alford, if you guys know him, have been tuning this deck a lot. And Garrick's on preordains. I'm not. I think I'm right. I think he's wrong,
Sure.
obviously. But regardless, this deck has been mostly the same, like 55 cards, 50 cards for a long time, and it's been getting more and more refined. And all of a sudden, with the new set right on the same weekend as a NRG, it's going to maybe throw a wrench in our plans, and we'll see if we could come out on top, come out successful after it.
We'll see. I think control generally works out well with a fresh meta, right? With people still trying to figure out exactly how to tune their decks and maybe imperfect stuff. A counterspell deals with most things in a format, right? Even the new things.
Yep.
But then, of course, you guys also have some new cards that you might be throwing in there as well that might shake up your plan and hurt you or help you. See how you're able to adapt there. Are you going to be streaming at all between now and then?
Yeah, I'm going to try to be. I streamed last week once. I'm going to try to stream again this week. Obviously, I'm really busy working on Flexlot things as well in the meantime.
No, for sure. Yeah,
it's
I've been
hard to
keeping up
balance
to
it
date with
all.
all the patches and that kind of stuff.
Oh my God, almost daily. But yeah, I'm trying to stream. I'm trying to be, engage with the community about it. I like people always suggest certain cards or certain things that maybe I didn't think of. It's really nice to crowdsource some of the ideas and some of the directions to take a deck in. Obviously, it's not always the direction that it does go in, but you know, two heads are better than one. 100, right? Obviously, as well
Absolutely.
can you can if you can sift through some of it, you can get to some really good stuff.
Yeah, well said. Well, thank you so much for joining us here in the booth, George. It's glad to have you back. You know, I should let the folks at home know that you were the one that really jump started the stream post COVID, and you were
Oh
my
yeah.
first co-commentator here in the booth. Nowadays you're more of a player and you've been on that grind, but it's glad to have you back here for a minute.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to come back again as soon as this season's over. I'm really happy. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not gonna put the cart before the horse. See what the points turn out to be, but I'm really happy with the performance this season. Maybe I'll be back in the booth next time. Who
Sounds
knows?
good. All right. Good luck in your last match.
See you, folks.
Okay, folks, that'll wrap up round 3 coverage for us here in the booth. We'll be right back with your final match of the night. Stay tuned.
to hopefully untap and have something like a prismatic ending, something to help you interact on this turn 1, because you did set yourself back just a little. I imagine one of the best times to do that is if you have something to help you bridge that gap.
Oh boy, and even more pressure. The land for turn will be a Dryad Arbor. So Danny definitely taking the role of the aggressor. We'll use just a scry land here, surveil land, excuse me.
And debating over the first choice, so it's not a slam dunk decision, but I have a feeling our turn 2 play might be.
Oh, a
And
grief.
spinning the grief.
Okay, so 2 big, juicy
Interesting.
pieces in the graveyard here.
And one of the parts that's very important about the grief is Valerie can draw a grief and use it to snipe any action Danny has before trying to go for the combo. But we're milling it over, so we might just already have one in hand.
Danny, oh,
we're pushing, right? It's Yawgmoth
There we
time. We're
go.
getting in with the wolf.
getting in with the wolf for some points of damage there. Yawgmoth, the namesake of the deck, now on the field with some undying creatures and some other stuff we can feed to him as well.
And Danny tapped out, so our point of interaction if Valerie wants to go for a turn 2 Goryo's has to be exactly Endurance and Card to Pitch, and I think we have 2 cards in hand.
Oh, man. Flicking through them there. It's so slightly out of our eyesight. I think one of them's a land. So that removes the chance of an evoked Endurance.
Now, one of the ways that Valerie can do this and keep their Atraxa / Grizzlebrand, in this case it's going to be the Grizzlebrand if they try to Goryo's it, is on Danny's end step. The Goryo's into play, so you can have it on your turn with available mana to try to ephemerate it, blink it in some way to try to keep it around.
Right, exactly. Has just played the island for turn here, but like you said, has that instant speed interaction. Danny now with 3 mana. And NRG's Theories. Can we get a hype train for Danny's Luscious Locks? Man is looking beautiful. I got to get his routine.
Yeah.
Drop it in chat. Put it in the Discord.
Speaking of routine, Valerie, I can see just peeking is a Goryo's Vengeance on the right side of that hand.
Oh,
so it's
yeah.
a part of the plan. Danny's continuing to push, playing for our Grist here, but now has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Chord mana available, 2 actual factual mana. That's not quite enough to stop if Valerie's ready to go for it. And it's time to draw some cards. Grizzlebrand is here.
Yep, casting Goryo's Vengeance, targeting this Grizzlebrand on Danny's end step before going to his turn, or her turn, though. Danny will do some stuff here. Gonna fetch real quick.
I think Danny is going to Chord, but I believe in main deck, we only have access to Chord for 2 here.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what he's hoping to grab here.
Danny. Chord of Calling. Chord X equals 2.
We could get. Is it? Oh, it's a Bowmaster.
It's
I
just
think
a young
he's gonna
wolf.
get a Bowmaster.
Wow!
No?
Oh, Bowmaster would have been so punishing for the Grizzlebrand.
But he only did 1.
We're doing
he
1.
He left a mana up and just grabbed
The young wolf.
I guess he's going to use the undying creatures with Yogg.
Wow, grabbing the Bowmaster.
That would have been insane.
Because you get the 7 triggers and you shoot down the Grizzlebrand itself from the Grizzlebrand activation. And then you don't ever get to gain the life. But the thing is what Valerie could do is on their turn, have the haste on their Grizzlebrand, attack, gain the 7, and then click the button a bunch of times. Yes, it will die to the Bowmaster, though we didn't get Bowmaster. Instead, we got the young wolf.
Okay, so Danny refusing to let Valerie take her turn here. He's just gonna
we're yogging now.
We're just gonna start doing the Yogg dance.
So okay, we did this and we left up a single mana. Wow, we found the Endurance.
I was just digging for it. Whoa.
I totally Yogg players, when you've been playing this deck for a long time, they just do it. They just are like, oh, I'll just Chord for not that thing, but I'll loop through these wolves a little bit, find what I'm looking for, in this case, Endurance and the green card, and then just interact.
Yeah.
And that's your plan done for.
Okay, so Valerie's turn completely interrupted here. The Endurance will target her graveyard, not allowing her to grab the Grizzlebrand. The Goryo's should not shuffle in with the other stuff, so we should maybe go grab that from them.
Yep, just real quick, because it was just in the graveyard because it was presumed resolving, but the other 2 had been pushed from the Endurance, and it should be itself in the graveyard. We'll get that taken care of real quick. Won't be that much of a problem.
Production's getting that fixed real quick.
So it's no problem. We can see you're taking a quick peek here.
All
figuring
good,
out where the Goryo's is, making sure that's in the graveyard
and
proper.
then just reshuffle.
And just reshuffle. There we go. Easy peasy. Much appreciated. Thank you all for pointing that out, making sure we have everything exactly where it should be.
Mm-hmm. Valerie not out of this yet, I should say. Goryo decks still have a lot of things that it can do. You can have a single surveil land and puts creatures into the graveyard. We saw Ray do that, turn 2 Archon into the...
Their
into
surveil
the-
your thing into the yard
Yeah.
might be one of the biggest highs I've ever experienced.
Yeah, we're just going to fetch here first, though. We do have Faithless Mending in the deck as well, like we saw in...
Oh, yep. Faithful Mending is available. The
This-
Tainted Indulgence is available.
Did I say Faithful Mending? Did I say Faithless Looting? It feels... They're kind of the same.
Yeah.
They're similar.
They did a little bit of an opposite game there.
For sure, for
The
sure.
Touch the Spirit Realm on Oblivion Stone mode targeting Yawgmoth.
Seems pretty strong.
And now
there.
time to do the dance.
Yeah, we're gonna dig even more. We'll get some more card value before Yogg falls to this Touch the Spirit Realm.
Moving them
question
back
is-
and forth.
How far do we dig?
Pretty far it's looking like.
We've definitely seen Danny dig too far. But well, he's gonna continue to go here.
Yeah, buddy, keep going. Oh.
Thinking about the power toughness of Valerie's creatures. I
We
think
found Beseiju. So on our turn, we're going to
Ooh.
untap and unlock our Yogg.
we
and
don't
try
need to
kill.
untap. We can Besage you right now because we have a Yawgmoth.
Because Yogg is
Oh,
a
wait.
legend.
Oh,
Yep.
but no.
Yep.
We need to wait for
Then our Yogg will be gone.
the touch to resolve first,
Yep.
so we won't have it.
We got to respond to the targeting. We're on it. We're on it.
Oh, wait, no, yeah, because an enchantment has to hit the field first, and then, so yeah, we do.
We're all good.
We're good.
We're all
It's
good.
great. No, Besage you it.
That's okay. We'll Beseiju on our own turn and then cord for our...
He's
Our
so
little boy.
close to dead, though. I feel like Valerie could just kill him in an instant here. She has things that fly. And the endurance is gone.
Danny's got this grip. Oh my goodness. I didn't realize just how many cards we drew there.
That's a lot of cards. He doesn't have the attack power to kill Valerie yet.
All right, so we have 2 mana to Beseiju. We'll have 1 mana available. We have a Dryad Arbor, an Iggy, possible land drop. So the cording and all that such is available to us
We also have
if
the
we
grist.
drew it.
We have a grist to make another cordable creature.
Ooh.
Convocable creature.
A thing that might come up, maybe not in this game, but in the next game, I see Danny has Agatha's Soul Cauldron in hand, is
Uh-oh.
eating Valerie's Grizzlebrand and giving your creature's Grizzlebrand's ability.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Seems pretty good.
Yep. It could be fun.
I mean, yeah, even without the one of Skoos and Endurance that Danny's reckoning in the main deck, the stock Agatha's Soul Cauldron also works as Graveyard Hate.
That's absolutely correct.
Go move to combat here, though.
Push the wolves.
Bring Valerie to just 13. They're not that
Yeah.
big yet.
But we have time because Valerie, most likely on Valerie's turn, we need to have looting effect and Goryo's, and Danny to have nothing
Mm-hmm.
in order to try to get some damage through. Otherwise, we don't have any haste threats, and Danny will have another turn available before their life total is in true jeopardy.
Mm-hmm. One of her looting effects is Faithless Mending, which does gain 2 points of life,
Yeah, the Faithful Mending does gain 2.
which can be relevant here. We'll see Danny play a Wall of Roots, continuing to grow his board and his mana pool.
Mana, Delighted Halfling,
Speaking of,
just so much mana. Because we don't really want to go to discard. We want to get as many of those cards in play as we can.
there's got to be ways to punish this, right? Are there any board wipes? No board wipes here in Valerie.
They're all on the sideboard.
Yeah. Yeah, she runs a Supreme Verdict.
And that's it.
She runs a Supreme Verdict in her sideboard, amongst
Which-
other cards, which we'll take a look at in between games here.
If you ask me, I've either been spending too much time with George or it's just the truth. I think Supreme Verdict is one of the best cards in the format right now.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of very creature-based decks in the format, and Supreme Verdict can't be countered. Which
Correct.
some
They
creature
cannot
decks
force negation it.
also
They
run.
cannot stubborn denial it. None of that.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very good right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking like 3 in my sideboard NRG mini good.
Whoa, okay.
I'm
Okay.
saying. Well, the most played deck over the weekend was Zoo. You want to beat up on some Zoo players? Show them the door.
Sure.
Here we go. Here's the Beseiju on the Touch the Spirit Realm, unlocking this Yawgmoth. And now what to do.
We got, well, I guess, there we go. I was worried Valerie wasn't going to grab a land from the Beseiju. I was like, no, please. You get
Surveil
some
it.
value still.
Definitely on the hunt for a surveil land.
I would think so. How many surveil lands does she run? Let's take a peek.
The 4?
Lush Portico, Under City Sewers, Meticulous Archive, Shadowy Back Street
4.
is 4.
The triple Esper ones and then a green one. It looks like Valerie is choosing Lush Portico as their green splash surveil.
Yeah, she's got it on the board there.
There it is.
All right, and Danny has this Yogg, but can't really activate it too much more. But it does.
Oh, Goryo's to the bin off that surveil.
Oh. I feel like that hints at something. I guess maybe that we don't have any reanimation targets, or we already have a reanimation spell,
Yeah, or that this cauldron is a pain in our side.
or that we have a cauldron. Maybe we're just on an info gathering mission at this point. I mean, like we said, Danny does not have her dead. I don't even think this turn. He doesn't have too much damage, right? Young
6,
Wolf,
7, 8,
Yogg,
9.
Young Wolf with counter, Dryad Arbor.
10 with the
Plus the
Soul Cauldron
halfling.
activation. We're not there yet.
Bowmaster,
Bowmaster.
another point of damage. Yeah, no. Last time Danny was on stream earlier tonight, he found the cord, like the first card, and was able to find the Blood Artist. Hasn't done it here.
Yeah, we love a Blardist, but only time will tell. Yeah, we did all that digging and just have not found it. Did not find that other chord. Now Valerie's just gonna try to fight, try to push, but there's just so much board state.
Indeed. Danny's gotta work with what he's got at this point. No more
1,
digging.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we're too short still. If Valerie could
No,
just
me
draw some
too.
cards for us, that'd be great. Because Danny now has the Bowmaster, so if Valerie is looking to play any of the looting effects that they have in their deck, either the Faithful Mending or the Tainted Indulgence, or even some of the other effects, the Bowmaster will get those last points.
Trying to think. Faithless Mending is null 0 with the Bowmaster, right? So it doesn't gain her life, but it does let her draw. But I think that's too
Looks like
much
we
there.
just got in there, dealt a bunch of damage, just realizing that we're just not going to be able to loot through anything, and we are going to take a little peek at these sideboards.
All right, whose deck list do we have here first? We got Danny's up first. We saw this earlier with his Yogg Moth deck. We have those new, we have MH3 basics, fun there. We got some MH cards in the sideboard as well. Let's start at the top. Soulless Jailer, Endurance, Fulminator Mage, Reclamation Sage, Sholdred, Liliana of the Veil, Fatal Push, Pick Your Poison, Surgical Extraction, Thoughtseize, Assassin's Trophy, Legion's End, and 2 Force of Vigors round out the 15.
Soulless Jailer, in, anti-reanimation thing. Endurance, in, anti-reanimation things. Reclamation Sage, in. Comes in every match because Cursed Totem card that exists.
Right.
Liliana the Veil and Pick Your Poison are maybes, depending on just how scared you are, if a big flying threat does find its way into play.
We have Atraxa and Grizzlebrand. I'd say those are pretty scary.
Surgical Extraction, the slammiest, dunkiest card. That card is only here for dealing with something like these at instant speed, ASAP. And I said this before with this Yawgmoth deck. Assassin's Trophy is the catch-all. If there is a problem, it will answer it. And one of those problems could be a giant Grizzlebrand.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at Valerie's deck here. We haven't seen this one on stream, so here's her fully submitted 75. In her sideboard, we're working with Subtlety, Ashiok Dream Render, Teferi Time Raveler, Prismatic Ending, Surgical Extraction, Celestial Purge, Force of Negation, Supreme Verdict, Pithy Needle, Cursed Totem, and Stony Silence. Only one Cursed Totem.
From the top, Subtlety, yes please. Ashiok, I'll take it. Prismatic Ending, yes. Surgical Extraction, yes. Celestial Purge, yes. Supreme Verdict, yes. Pithy Needle, yes. Cursed Totem, yeah. So there's reason there's one totem is it's split from the totem and the Pithy Needle. One is a direct targeting, so it might be Pithy Needle, name the Soul Cauldron, then Cursed Totem to really lock it all up. The subtleties are to make sure that Yawgmoth proper or any cards that are headache don't resolve. Ashiok can clear the graveyards and make it so you can't cast Court of Calling, Prismatic Ending exiles the card. Surgical cleans up Danny's graveyard. The Celestial Purge gets important black cards out of there, like Grist and Yawgmoth.
So there's a ton of cards that we can bring in. Then let's talk about what we need to cut here.
I love cutting 2 Grizzlebrands. When you're post board in this Goryo's deck, game 1 is about pushing the plan. Game 2 is being Esper control with accidental Atraxa. So what you can do is I love cutting the Grizzlebrands and some number of the Faithful Mending, starting to take your less impactful cards, maybe even a Philology Archaeologist, to start sliding in all those impactful cards. You can even cut these 2 Force Negations from the main. They're not going to have any juicy targets.
No, we don't play too many non-creature spells in a Yawgmoth deck. Hitting a chord would be pretty good, but we have answers for that already from the creatures that they eventually find there.
Yeah, I have found with this deck, the 4 Grief, 4 Tolitude, 4 Atraxa, 4 Ephemerate, and the 4 Goryos, that's kind of like your locked-in cards.
Sure.
And the rest of them are very seasoned to taste based on what your sideboard plan is.
All right, we'll go back down to the action here. Players look like they're still shuffling up, so let's talk about something while we wait.
New cards. Just kidding, Discord.
We're going to talk about our Discord. If you want to get first notice for pre-orders being put up, sales deals, talk to our players about the deck list that they've submitted.
Upcoming team tournament. NRG
events
Indie is coming.
To find teammates. We already have people looking for it. It's in May. You want to, figure that out at some point. Book your hotel, all that jazz. Join our Discord. There's that QR code there.
Beep, beep.
It's great. We'd love to have you in there.
I might be looking for a team. I don't know. Give me a shout out. I might be on the hunt. Who knows?
I'm looking for a team.
Haviva's looking for a team.
I'm not looking for a team. I got to work.
The team Haviva's looking for is the fellow friends in the booth. In the sales booth. Maybe the buying team. Maybe a Libby. Who knows who will be on Aviva's team?
I'm looking to add people to the judge team. There we go. Look at all these fantastic events we have in store for you. We just had our first last month in Chicagoland. It was fantastic. We had so many Pro Tour competitors. I was starstruck. Woo!
Woo.
And then Minneapolis is going to be OTJ release weekend.
Oh, yes, it will.
Fresh new meta, cowboys galore, cowboy hats, and crimes being committed show up to Mini. We're also doing Legacy for all you Legacy folks out there. We haven't forgotten about you. You have a whole $5,000 to win in Minneapolis. And then, of course, we have a double 10K weekend in May. Indianapolis, not to be confused with Minneapolis. I know they sound a little bit similar there.
Minneapolis.
Mini and Indy. Indy is a double 10K weekend, double 10K showdown as well, which means we are qualifying two people.
4.
Technically 4,
the team trio.
Everyone in the team will qualify as well as our winner of the showdown event. So 4 people are going to champs in May. That sounds pretty good to me. I think you should go. It's also very close to home base. So if you're in the local area or the surrounding states, head on over to Indianapolis. Have a good time there. And then for rounding out the first half of our calendar is our St. Louis event. That'll be a 10K Pioneer Showdown and a 5K Modern Trial. Of course, if the main events aren't your speed, you scrub out. We've got lots of side events as well. Check out our Twitter for posts about that are starting to go up. We're doing chaos drafts. We're doing pre-com battles, win-a-sheets, win an oversized card. So much fun product to do there. We did a Lorcana side event as well, starting to branch out into some other games potentially there too. So check out the articles about that. I think
I'll be there. Will you?
I will be there. I'm at every event.
Not you. Them
the
you.
royal you.
Yeah, them you. For all the fine folks out there hanging out with us here in the final round. We'll be there. Will you?
Yes. Okay. I see. I figured it out. Thank you for coaching me through it. I appreciate it.
No, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Thank y'all for being here.
Folks at home, we appreciate you. It's so nice to be able to talk and have some people respond in chat. If you're enjoying the content, say hi. I'd love to see who's hanging out.
Yeah, Haviva will be easier to find at events than I will.
Well, no, I'm so sure you won't find me in the crowd.
Haviva will be at the booth. I'll be at table 1. Let's go.
Wow, sheesh. Okay.
Just kidding.
Okay, are you going to get like fixed seating or something?
Yeah. Get the special treatment for my little brokey toe.
Mini and Indy is confusing for sure. Yeah, Matt knows that all too well. I think.
Oh no.
Well, I think he like almost booked a flight for like the wrong event, and I was like, wait a second.
Undercity sewer.
We got it all figured out though. Here we are in our second game of our final match of the night. Valerie taking a peek with those
big surveil.
Those fantastic surveillance.
The Bina tracks off the first surveil. I will tell you, and your opponent looks at you and goes, really? You're like, yeah.
You're gonna do this to me?
My opponent last time I did that looked at me and went, "Why did you think about it so long?" I was like, "I'm just making sure this is the plan."
Oh, there you go. Casey's saying that
Casey, I will see
he'll
you
be
there,
there
my
with-
king. Let's go. Turn 2, Valerie's getting this polluted delta. We can see a peek at their hand. We see Atraxa and we see Pithing Needle. 2 very impactful cards floating there.
Yo, can you name Dryad Arbor? Or is it like a mana ability? Like it does not count?
You can name whatever you'd like, but I don't think it stops them. I think Pithing Needle literally says on it, except mana
mana.
abilities.
Yeah.
So
makes
you,
sense.
you have the option, right? You can name it, especially in a competitive event. If you name Dryad Arbor, it's like, cool, activate Dryad Arbor.
Right, yeah.
So always be careful. If you're not sure, just call a judge. That's what they're here for.
They're
That's
great.
what they're there for.
All right, getting the mana train going. We got a Wall of Roots into an Iggy.
Okay, this is just all mana,
We're building.
and this Pithing Needle naming something.
Yes, I think. Can we have production go out and figure that out real quick? They don't have our handy dandy coverage label maker out there. Not trusting the players with that one.
Yeah, it's either Yogg, Grist, or something very, very important.
Let's see. What it?
Soul Cauldron? Soul Cauldron.
Soul Cauldron's a good one because
Yeah.
we've talked about this. Pithy Needle, if you name Yawgmoth and then give Yawgmoth's abilities to another creature with Soul Cauldron, it doesn't work, right? They can
Yes.
activate it.
And the Soul Cauldron is main deckable graveyard hate, so we're shutting down Danny's plan and Danny's plan to stop us.
Exactly.
Great choice, Valerie. I will write that down
Heads up
in my
play.
I will write that down in my notes.
Right, yes. This deck, I don't know. I don't want to ask
This deck
too,
has
too much
my heart.
information, but I know you're a big fan of it currently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you see this in my legacy deck share like 20 cards. I have to move a lot of them between deck boxes. The second I realized it's the exact same strat 2 times over, I was like, "Oh, got it."
Nice. Yeah.
As we see this Faithful mending resolving, and I see Valerie's got that Atraxa, and is it hitting the Binsky? There it goes. Quick.
I think it will.
Snatch it, drop that in there. And the far friend, the Falagi Archaeologist. My favorite card in this deck. It is incredible.
How there's so many good.
You've never used that card with Ephemerate to dig 9 cards deep for your combo.
You know what also digs 9+1 cards deep?
Atraxa.
Atraxa.
Here we go. Danny, Takanuma in play. Wall of Roots. This is an oops, all mana hand. Does it have the payoff, though?
That's the question. I feel like it's one of those hands where you're just like, okay, this does a bunch early. We'll draw into the stuff eventually. Got
Wall of
some
Roots,
cards there.
Scavenging.
Ooze. Oh, that's very good.
Scavenging. And when we pass turn, all 4 of these creatures will be able to use their activated abilities. This Atraxa is under attack.
This Atraxa's not sticking around very long. We're putting some counters on my boy.
Danny, stop
Scooz.
reading the Yawgmoth Discord and putting Scavenging Ooze in your deck. Let me put my Atraxas into play, or in this case, let Valerie put their Atraxas into play.
Exactly. Yes.
Polluted
Love me an
Delta.
Atraxa. I got to see a lot of Atraxas put into play this weekend.
Domain be domainin.
Domain B domainin. Yeah, no, it was a part of my demise.
As we see Valerie, 2-tap here, Tainted Indulgence, the Falagi Archaeologist. Digging deep, 3 cards.
Yep. For those of you not in the know about
sorry.
this common from Brothers War, Philology Archaeologist mills 3 cards, and then you can grab a
Non-creature, non-land.
non-creature, non-land, and if you can't,
Don't
choose not to.
put a 1/1 counter on it.
Indeed.
Because you will have spots where you'll have like 3 spells, but you need a 1/4, and you can make that choice.
Yep. All right, activating the Scooz.
What do you think he's going to eat? Okay, we grabbed the Ephemerate and exiled it. 2, 3. Oh, yeah.
It was weird that he opted. I'm confused why he made that play. He used one of his available mana to eat a card while the Philology was on the stack there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, we still have the Iggy mana and the Dryad Arbor mana. Valerie now has 1 mana. Technically, there's a fetch, right?
Yep, we're going to fetch you with this Polluted Delta.
We don't have any 1 mana. What's the word?
And now we've
reanimate.
munched on that Atraxa.
There we go.
Casey and Chad making a good point. Danny may have read Philology and thought it could grab any of the spells from the yard, not just the 3 being milled. Wanted to make sure to tag that ephemerate. Makes sense if that's how the card works, so I'm with you now.
Yeah, okay.
Lean back. Valerie's on the hunt. Most likely a Surveil land, unless we have an ephemerate in our hand, the one we grabbed off this. We might be interested in casting that.
I don't know if archaeologist is the best thing to ephemerate, though. I mean, like, it is a little bit of value, and that with
What
the
if we had a
Scoos in
Solitude
play,
in hand? And we could evoke that Solitude and then ephemerate that and clean up the Scoos and all these.
That'd be way better.
Great.
I would like
I'm
that
with
play
you.
a lot more
I'm
than
with
ephemerating an archaeologist.
If we have if our other cards in hand are white for Valerie, if Valerie has additional white cards, we could build our own board wipe. And here we go.
There we go. We're going to pitch the ephemerate to evoke Solitude. Target will be the Scoos. Gotta say that's the most likely target here.
Gotta get that Scoos. I think Danny debating on any things you want to munch on. There's a Solitude at the bottom there. Might just gain a life from that.
Yeah, just get the creatures at this point.
And if there's any faithful mendings from any of the cards we milled over, eat up some of those flashback cards before we lose our Scoos.
Growing the Scoos also gains Danny a little bit more life as well once it eventually gets solituded here.
There goes that Solitude from the yard, and now the exiling of the Scavenging Ooze to this new Solitude. And the question is oh yeah, here it comes. A second ephemerate from the top rope for Valerie. It is.
From the top rope.
So now we get to clean up a bunch of this mana as well, choosing possibly these Wall of Roots or the Iggy, the Dryad Arbor. A lot of the same thing happening here, but choosing which one fits your plan.
I feel like Iggy is the best thing to grab here just for the exalted text.
I was thinking about the Wall of Roots because it can be mana on both turns if need be.
That's a good point.
But we've taken the Dryad Arbor. We've gone with Stone Rain.
Sure, yeah.
And now we will also have that ephemerate on rebound to deal with whatever Danny plays this turn, as long as we get to keep the Solitude around. So Valerie will have this Solitude, will have that rebound. Danny, will you deal with the Solitude, or would Danny put a more juicy target into play?
All right, using a bunch of mana here from the Wall of Roots. Oh, wow. Okay, I was going to say Danny might play a little more patiently here and not just shove creatures into a Solitude and his...
so Danny can pick off 2 of his own creatures here to kill the Solitude here and now, so that when the ephemerate time comes, the Solitude won't even be there to deal with this Yawgmoth.
So we're just going to put some -1/-1 counters on the Solitude itself.
Yeah, we're going to get rid of some of these mana dorks, turn them into kill spells.
Okay.
Just Yogg stuff.
Reminder, those at home, the Pithy Needle is on Agatha's Soul
Cauldron. Which, when you have the turn 1 needle, it's got to be worthwhile just in the blind choose the card you're the most scared of. That fully makes sense. The hardest part is when your opponent doesn't draw that card.
Right, when your opponent has multiple cards that you need to name and you pick one.
If I could go back and play 100 times, would I possibly name Scoos? Yes, but then if Danny drew the Soul Cauldron, we would have the same problem.
Exactly. And now we got this Yogg as well. Doing what it do.
It be Yoggin.
These Wall of Roots have so many counters on them as well, though. They're not too much fodder for the Yogg.
Yeah, they're kind of used up a little, right?
I would say so. We've used them for a lot of mana. I wish I could see what cards Danny has in hand. I guess I can't see Valerie's either.
I love it.
We're all playing in the blind here.
Yeah, this is very interesting. Danny kind of stopped in the middle. So what might happen here is if Valerie targets this with an ephemerate, it's hard to tell if Valerie has additional cards left, but if their card in hand is another ephemerate, they could respond to Danny trying to stop this.
I wonder if he's got a cord or something. He's just waiting.
And we targeted the Philology.
Oh.
Okay, we're playing mind games today. Oh, it's an Ashiok.
Is a Goryo.
We can grab this Ashiok
but
and
the Ashiok?
ruin Danny's life. Because Ashiok's static is that players can't search their library.
Right.
So this importantly turns off all the cord shenanigans. But the -1 is target player mills 4, but then your opponent exiles the yard. So no matter what, you could mill yourself, but eat Danny's yard.
I see. So it's been a minute since I've seen this Ashiok. Thank you for reminding me what the text on it does. I think the last time I saw it was like in Commander, honestly.
She's
Seems very strong
good.
here. Ashiok's incredibly good.
I like this card. I like this card a lot against Amulet Titan. And here, it's going to do some good work too.
Spells and abilities. Oh.
Can't cause their opponents to search.
Very good.
Fetch lands, you can't do them.
Yeah.
Primeval Titans, you can't do them. Quarter Callings, you can't do them.
Max had it in their Phoenix
Yeah,
sideboard.
Phoenix is starting to main deck these Ashioks to fight so many other Phoenix decks in Pioneer.
That's crazy.
And the top deck
You
keeps
mill.
getting better and better. You got to fight back against yourself.
So you mill your Phoenix into your graveyard and then
Exile
exile
their
their
stuff.
Phoenix.
Yeah,
Ooh.
dog, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're like, well, I don't know, I'll just exile their top 4. They'll run out of library. Because she can do this 5 times. That's 20 cards.
That is a lot of cards.
That's 20 cards.
That's 5 more than I see Jace do usually.
Yeah, you right.
Yeah. No, I saw a lot of Jace activations this weekend too. It was rough.
Domain v domain.
Domain got
and-
milled out is what they do.
And the Gurkha be a gherkin. As we're back to Danny using some of our mana here. There's a Beseiju. We saw this come up very importantly throughout the day for Danny. You know, Valerie choosing Pithing as a card in your sideboard because it's great for hating out this Yawgmoth deck and good for increasing your hits off of Traxler, right? You don't have a lot of artifacts, so it helps you find your sideboard cards really easily. But the Beseiju's in the mana base. Yawgmoth is very resilient. That's just another piece in this puzzle.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll get a land here from the Beseiju. What if you play Pithing Needle and you just name Beseiju and you're like, I have a thing
Gotcha.
and you can't kill it.
I have done that, but I was playing Tron, not Choreo.
For sure, yes. That
Yep.
seems a little bit better.
Yeah. So then you do get to do the meanie annoy, but that's because they can't target yours as tower.
Right.
Danny here using up, possibly debating back and forth and using up the last little bits of these wall of roots. Remember, if at any time we want, we can deal with this Solitude.
Interesting. A Thoughtseize.
Interesting card to bring in from the board. We're seeing our own Thoughtseize and a Surgical. Hey, Danny, maybe you've seen these sideboard cards. Eh?
I think Surgical's a pretty strong play here. He will opt. Oh, yeah. Matt's inches away from putting it into the graveyard here.
Oh. Mm?
Are we rewinding a bit here? I think.
Oh, Valerie might be casting the Surgical on the Beseiju.
Oh, in response to
Yep.
the.
Because this gives you free information. You get to see Danny's hand, which is kind of like a Thoughtseize.
Right.
But boy, do I wish I could have taken any of these 2 cards with a Thoughtseize in Valerie's hand.
Yeah. So Thoughtseize still in the stack.
Because
Danny will show a Grist and a Yogg in hand.
What would you say the best 2 cards in Yawgmoth are?
I would say those
Grist
two.
and Yawgmoth.
Yeah.
A backup Yawgmoth and a Grist.
Indeed.
Not bad leftovers.
Mm-mm.
And now...
Still resolving some things here. The Ashiok went to hand as well, and that...
She's in
is-
play.
Where? Oh, there
she is.
There they are. Okay.
Ashiok doing Ashiok things. Maybe being Jace. Anyone else read the
No.
lore?
Whoa. I watched the marketing stream yesterday. Watched a little like cowboy
Yep.
video. That was fun. We looked at all the spoilers.
TLDR. The entire heist, Ashiok hired them to do the heist.
Uh-huh.
But it was Jace disguising himself as Ashiok.
Whoa.
And Vraska was on the heist as a double agent for Jace.
Are Vraska and Jace like a thing, or did they forget about that? I think
It seems like they're a thing still.
they're a thing still. Whoa.
They're working together.
I thought Jace like wiped her mind so that she would forget about him.
And I thought Vraska didn't have legs. But there's a lot of things happening.
Did you see that lineup of them too, like the criminal lineup, and
Rakdos is so big that you just see his thigh.
and they made I think it's like Oko. They made Oko look so stubby. I'm like, no, that is a tall thin man. He looks like a little baby.
Dang. You
Ashiok
heard
is
it
too
here, folks.
cool.
Aviva said that about Oko.
Oko is a fine man, and there's this one photo where he looks like a little guy. which is fine too.
You sure
I
you
love
didn't look
me
at a
little
picture of
guy.
Kellen?
Look, no, Oko is 5'5".
No way, Oko is 5'5" in the
canonically.
canon.
I don't believe that for a second, dude. They draw that man so tall. He's a fairy.
That doesn't
But,
change
like-
anything. So we're shuffling up. We're resolving these thoughtseize. We're resolving these surgicals. I'm not believing that Oko is 5'5", and here comes the Grist.
Vraska was so much. How tall is Vraska?
This is
she's
an odd
like
question.
My height,
Yeah,
then.
I'm not usually aware of the height. I just
I don't usually.
Oko
keep up
does
with
not
that.
have 5'5" energy as this Grist
I agree.
sacrifices this wall and munches on this very impactful Ashiok. I always forget that Grist can eat planeswalkers. That's right. Oko's a short king. We've all learned it here today.
Oko is at least 7'2". I'm on Remy's side here. Oko is
You sure
tall.
you sure weren't looking at Tiny Bones?
Tiny Bones, it's like Greenland and Iceland. Tiny Bones is actually humongous. Is he?
No.
Okay. Pull up. Can you pull up Trickster on the stream so other people
We
can?
have
appreciate it
Valerie
too?
here drawing Celestial Purge, an unbelievably impactful card here. But the issue is if we use it to answer this Yawgmoth, we know Danny just has another one sitting in hand ready to reload. Do we instead use this to try to take down this Grist? And there's the Purge. And the target be the Yagurino. This is very interesting because with the mana Danny currently has, we have to sacrifice our Wall of Roots to get our 5th counter in order to do so. But now we're blocking, and as I see, unable to cast Yawgmoth on our untap.
Yeah, we still have this Grist though, so we can start to tick her up there a little bit. Do we have some Oko arts to look at, Bryce? I gotta see. I gotta see. I'm so
New
sorry.
Outlaws at Thunder
I'm so
Junction
stuck on
preview.
this.
Oko the ringleader.
There we go. Look at that guy.
He's at least as tall as a vault door.
Okay.
As Danny pluses and plays Agatha Soul Cauldron named all those turns ago, and a lone insect off this Grist activation.
Now, can we get the Trickster art? I gotta see the comparison.
It's just a man laying in a field. I don't know how tall a man in a field is.
Do they not have like a picture of him with like an elk next to him? No, nothing.
One of the Oko the ringleaders, he's riding an elk. Does that help?
Yeah.
As Valerie draws a flooded strand per turn, adding that to the card we had in turn from before. Remember, we use that purge to try to clean up this Yawgmoth. And Danny kind of stranded with a Yawg in hand, using up our Wall of Roots for blocking duty.
We can use the cauldron to beef up the insect token.
Yeah, because the
Make it a
cauldron's unlocked since we dealt with the Pithy Needle all those turns ago.
Right, right.
Solitude.
We're at 23 life though. I'm not super scared.
Trade for bug.
It's because I assume the Solitude had to go at the Grist there, so.
Smart move, right? But
Yeah.
trades for bug. We have a flooded strand. Remember, this deck plays 4 Surveillance. So even though you're seeing 3 of them in play, there's still one more that we can go search. The Lush Portico, the green-white one, flooded strand, searchable.
Danny eating a Wall of Roots with his Soul Cauldron here. I'm surprised that he isn't opting to just grab something out of Valerie's graveyard at this point. I don't think putting a Wall of Roots under there
But
is-
Valerie's Yard doesn't have any activated abilities, and we can't reanimate the elementals in any way. Gorios will only be able to grab the legendaries.
I guess so. Yeah. We don't play like Persist like
No,
Ray
because
does.
Persist can't get legends. That's kind of the tug and pull of the 2 reanimation spells.
I see.
So that's why we saw Ray earlier today with Archon Persist, the non-legendary package, and we see Valerie now with Goryo's Atraxa, the legendary package.
I see. Very cool. I've
And
learned.
because all of our creatures became Wall of Roots, this bug could get a counter to make mana, and we can play this Yawg. Soul Cauldron continues to be busted. I agree. Thank you, chat. Card is unbelievable, and every time I see it do something, I learned of a new card, a better thing for it to like snatch up. I saw people using Morsel Hoarder combo.
What is that?
Exactly. Right? People are playing deep to find cool activated abilities, combo them up with their cauldrons.
Is that
and
like a
wombo
Eldraine card? It sounds like an Eldraine card.
It's
Morsel?
like a Shadowmoor card that lets you remove counters to make mana.
Oh, interesting.
And people just Valerie drew Atraxa.
Okay,
I
we're
will say-
not quite at Atraxamana.
I've been playing this deck. I've hard cast a lot of Atraxas.
Yeah, I think it's not unlikely to get up to that amount of
Mm-hmm.
mana with this deck.
Lush Portico or whatever the green source you're choosing puts in work.
Started seeing Cauldron used as a sideboard card
Mhm.
to be anti-Yogg and anti-Gorios.
In the Mitgo Masters League, sponsored in part by Nerd Rage Gaming,
Indeed.
Jake Beardsley, Pro Tour champion, plays Agatha Soul Cauldron in the sideboard of his scam deck to win the Yawgmoth matchup
Interesting.
because he becomes the
Look at me.
Yeah.
I am the Yogg now.
because when there's two cauldrons, you both are just staring at each other because the second you try to eat something, the other person will eat it instead.
Oh, sure. So, yeah, you don't even have to use it. It's just like
Nope.
a standoff
Yeah.
kind of card.
It's kind of like the old legend rule. If I put one in play and you put one in play, then neither of us have one in play.
Mm.
This wolf gonna tag the Philagi. Look how good this card is. We're targeting it down.
Okay, okay. No Graveyard Hate is better than Turn the Earth.
Turn the Earth is so good in the Goryo's Atraxa deck if you have access to green mana, because it is the only one that if your opponent griefs it out of your hand, you can flashback it out of the graveyard. Same with Memory's Journey. So there are two very clean options available, but you need access to green mana to get them.
Mm-hmm. Daniel is still a little stuck here on lands, I want to point out. Sitting on just 3 to Valerie's 5. He has mana producers, of course, and he's got 2 under the cauldron there.
But all of our creatures in play as we get this fourth mana source are currently Delighted Halflings and Wall of Roots if we want to give them those counters.
For sure, for sure.
And it's very interesting with this Young Wolf because you could give it a counter to make mana, then sack it to Yogg, and kind of if you're like rinsing or repeating, you can kind of slowly get some mana along the way.
I see. Clean up the rest of that
Wait.
Philology Archaeologist toughness. We'll swing in with Yogg. We'll take 2 damage there, bringing Valerie down to 15 to Danny's 18. He gained a bunch of life from a Solitude and the Skoos. So sitting very healthy here in our game 2. Feel like maybe we should start looking at the clock here at some point. Figure out if we're going to be able to get to a game 3 here, if Valerie even gets there.
All right. This is the Yawgmoth attack plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yawgmoth in attack mode.
Yeah, you don't see a Yawgmoth sideways too often, I gotta say.
We need to deal damage. This is our shot. Just gonna start dealing damage.
I want to point something out as well. I believe we didn't even need to kill the archaeologist there because it's a human and Yogg has protection from humans.
We always forget Yogg as pro-human.
Yeah, so we could have just attacked through it.
Yeah, it so seldomly comes up. There aren't a lot of humans running around.
Right.
But the
right.
archaeologists, they're indeed a human.
It's just, yeah. The Philology is like the tribe or like the
Philology are the
region?
people that live out in the desert.
Yeah.
If you're aware of the Fremen from Dune,
Whoa.
they're basically the Fremen on
From
Dominaria. The Philology are the people out in the desert. That's who Mishra lived with. That's where he found all the dragon engines with the Philology people.
Mm-hmm.
Deep in the lore. So from Brothers
it.
War, this is one of the archaeologists, so most likely people on the hunt finding those things out in the desert.
Right.
And now they find my Atraxas.
Danny will continue to spin the Yogg wheels here. Now with the Orcish Bowmaster in play. Still a bunch of cards in hand as well. What did you just get?
Sorry, did I just buy cards live? I really need
You
to.
just got handed a playset of cards by Dakota. What is this?
I have to
We're
shout out.
shopping.
I have to shout out the chatter who mentioned the color shifted coffin purge. You've really fixed my sideboard. I did mouth to Dakota. Can you grab me 4 of those real quick?
That's insane.
And
Wow.
here we are. I really appreciate the service that you can only get at nerdragegaming.com.
Do we have more of those in stock?
I don't know. That's up to the folks.
Yeah, Dakota? Go to nerdragegaming.com right now. Pick up some sideboard cards for your deck.
If you need to purify the grave, actually don't. Unless you're not coming to Mini.
Wait.
Leave my graves alone. And leave Casey's graves alone.
Sure.
As we have Goryo, 5 lands in play, getting our 6th here off this fetch, finding the swamp. Interestingly, still not grabbing the Portico to get our green source for that Atraxa that's just lingering in hand.
I think the 6th land drop is the latest you can grab the Portico if you want to use it on 7, right? It comes in tapped, so...
Aviva, you're so right. Because I've run into this situation where I want to cast the Atraxa, and I've literally started like mapping what lands are in my deck to make sure I search for the ones that give me the most chance to draw the 7th land.
Right. It was a Marsh Flat, so we could have grabbed the Portico.
We could have grabbed the Portico.
Maybe we need the mana for other stuff, though. We'll start with an Archaeologist flipping over. Another Archaeologist, an Atraxa, and a Tainted Indulgence will be the one we have to grab
Sounds like
there.
we're taking this Indulgence, but there's this Bowmaster in play. So while we're trying to get our plan together, do a little Loot Scoot Boogie, we're going to take 2 damage off this Orcish Bowmaster.
Does Archaeologist have you draw it, or just
No,
put it into
but we
hand?
just picked up the Tainted Indulgence. So if we're trying to
I
keep
see,
going, we're going to have to take damage to try to continue moving.
Indeed. At just 10 now after combat on Danny's turn.
Oh, thank you so much. Hey, a first-time chatter, really putting in the work.
That's a great
Portico
first-time
was
chat.
Portico was milled over. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your eagle-eyed view.
That's awesome. Give that person a star.
And honestly,
Did we figure out how to gift channel points yet? All right. We'll figure it out at some point. Thank you very much.
and we will let Valerie know, chat is really going off about how much Valerie's shirt rules.
I know, right?
So we will let Valerie know. They really appreciate that.
Have to drop a link. I don't know if you can gift channel points. I feel like that if it's not a feature, we should go to Twitch and tell them that it should become a feature.
I'll gift you style points.
I'll put a gold star next to your name.
And it looks like,
on the TV. You'll just
it looks like we are casting the Indulgence and dropping the Queen in the bin. There's 3 Atraxas in this graveyard. Sheesh.
Sheesh. Even if Danny somehow gets the Scooz is exiled at this point, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, nothing to do there. But I was gonna say, like, there's so many targets at this point that we might not even have enough
And
Scooz activations.
I will say that's the hardest part about just a one of Scooz is the removal in the Goryo's deck is Solitude, Bindings from as Prismatic Endings. Like all these cards that are looking to put that card in exile, gone forever.
Right, yeah. So even if it dies at some point, it can't get picked up by the Cauldron because all those are exile effects.
Does Celestial Purge exile or destroy?
It exiles.
It does, yeah. So it's like even though they can't target the Scavenging Ooze, but almost
Sure.
all of the removal is trying to get those long gone out of here. Danny is on the hunt for an Endurance.
And Casey's right, there is an Endurance somewhere in the deck.
Somewhere. It's
It's gotta
somewhere
be
in
there.
there. It's somewhere in there. And I think Danny had a Chord in hand last I saw. So he might just not be afraid yet. Because that Chord is kind of a flex, win the game, stop you from winning the game card.
Right, yeah. Now that the Ashiok has been cleared off the board. Look at this orc army with all these different
That one's it's doing a lot of work.
It's carrying a lot on his shoulders. It's
wears
got
a lot
a
of
wall
hats.
of roots -0/-1. It's got a loyalty +1 from Grist. It's got 2
Just the 2
regular
counters.
+1/+1 counters.
Oh no, this wolf is fighting this woman again.
No.
Leave her be. The Flagi with a 1/-1 counter on it.
I don't think a desert dweller like a Falagi
If
comes
you were in-
across too many
If
wolves.
I ran into a desert wolf, jeez. I know they
Scary.
exist, but that sounds terrifying.
That sounds very scary.
Is that a coyote?
I was gonna say like a dingo or something, like an
Speaking-
Australian dingo.
Coyotes are in the new set.
I saw that.
They made a Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote card.
May was talking about it. I saw her like quote tweeted or something.
Yeah. It's there.
That's rad. I love it.
And they're
It's
panorama.
very flavorful, very fitting for the setting.
Yeah, the Roadrunner and the Wile E. Coyote card is a panorama. You can see them chasing each other.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I gotta look that up later.
OTG is pretty rad.
Yeah, I think it's a fun set. It's
It's the beach episode. Everybody's coming out and hanging.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so funny, dude. Oh my gosh, it's the beach episode.
It is. The arc is ending. This is the end of the Omen Path arc. Stuff's probably about to go wild.
I know,
Danny's about to
I
attack for
know.
$1 billion.
This is the filler episode. OTJ is the.
It is. We're getting here for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage. Valerie, that life total sure looks to be 8. That was a subtlety off the top for fun. I believe this game
Oh,
looks to be
man.
over.
Yes,
Oh.
I think that is a concession there. We don't have flashback, faithless mending, mana to gain 2 life, no cling to dust.
Well,
Kind of.
oh, I think this is over. I think we're talking shop.
I think we're hanging.
I think we're hanging. We're talking
We're
shop.
showing our hands.
We're talking
yeah.
shop. We're
All
talking
right.
shop.
Danny, the number 6 seed, advances to 4-0 on the last night of
Woo!
league. That's got to be worth a lot of points. That's 13 points exactly. Looking at our leaderboard here, let's pull that up.
Yeah, one last peek at
These
this.
were the placements at the beginning of the night. Adam Weiss tragically could not make it tonight and will fall to George, who, let's see if he's reported his last match, was 3-0 when he came and chatted to us.
He lost.
He did lose. But 3-1 is still plenty of points to maintain that first place spot. And then, of course, standings will be updated in our leaderboard later tonight. And we will take some pictures of the fine folks that managed to
Ooh.
top 8 our very first league. So check out our socials, our Discord for all of that stuff. Before we head out from today's coverage, we're going to do a quick couple of ad reads. We'd appreciate you sticking around. If you enjoyed today's content, we're live every Wednesday at 6:30 with Magic and Modern. Hit the follow if you want to be notified for that. And Thursdays, we are live with Pokémon. If you want to play in any of our in-store events, here's how you do it. Look at all the different games we got. We got 5 different ones. Magic, Pokemon, Digimon, One Piece, and Lorcana. Lorcana's not on there because Pioneer is there. We need to get an updated graphic for that.
Scratch it out.
I had it made. We forgot to put it in today. I'm so sorry. But look at all those
It's
fun
okay.
different games you can do. There's also Standard on Fridays. If you don't like
Ooh.
Legacy because you're a Zoomer and you want to play some Standard.
Yeah, Friday night, the Boomer versus Zoomer.
It's
Standard
so great.
versus Legacy.
I
night.
love it so much. Watching people play with like duels and then people playing with lands like Thran Portal.
Thran Portal. Yeah, put Thran Portal next to a Trop and let's see what's up.
No, there's no more Thran Portal ever again. They're reprinting Inspiring Vantage. So that deck does not need that card anymore. If you want to buy cards from the newest set, OTJ, they'll be going up on nerdragegaming.com. We will be listing those
Yeehaw.
available for pre-order as soon as we know exactly which cards we have opened.
Oh,
Add
yeah.
them to your wish list as soon as they are in our catalog, and you'll get notified immediately as soon as we list them with no obligation to pay. But you can get first dibs on those if they're in your wish list. It's also great to buy on nerdragegaming.com because we have a loyalty rewards program. As soon as your first purchase, you get 1% back all the way up to a cumulative 10% back. Basically tax-free on all of your purchases. We ship countrywide, scheduled for series pickup or in-store pickup. If you want to check out any of the deck lists that we featured tonight or you want to see the final standings for our league, join our Discord. There's also a series Discord as well if you're looking for teammates for Indy, if you're looking for car mates to drive up to Minneapolis, if you're just looking to have some general metagame discussion, format discussion, check out those 2 Discords. We'd love to see you in there. We have 3 more events in the first half of this year. The first one was in February in Chicagoland area. OTJ release weekend will see us in Minneapolis for a 10K Modern Showdown and a 5K Legacy Trial. Indianapolis will be our double 10K showdown with Modern and Team Trios taking 4 people automatically to the championship event at the beginning of next year. June will be our final event of the first half. St. Louis, Missouri will be a 10K showdown for Pioneer and a 5K trial for Modern. I'm going to be at all these events. I'd love to sell you some cards, trade you for some art cards, and talk to you about Magic. So be there or be square. Dom, what a fantastic league.
Woo, yeah.
It's been. Can we talk about this for a second before we tune out here? 12 weeks of fantastic gameplay, great commentary, gotta say. Toot our own horns a little bit here.
Toot toot.
I think we've been doing all right. Fantastic chat participation as well. And we're looking to do another one of these.
The stakes feel good. I think
Exactly.
the players like having something to fight for. We like having something to follow. We like having a story. People in chat are like asking about how some players are doing. We're starting to create digital heroes.
Exactly, yeah. We're looking for folks wondering when the next league is going to start. We're going to take a couple of weeks off just to give people,
Little breather.
Yeah, you don't need to be at the store every single week or play some fun decks, that kind of thing. We're also waiting for everyone to get back home from school. So we're looking to start the next league around mid-May. We will still be streaming, so keep an eye out for that. Of course, hit that follow button to get notified when we go live in case you're forgetful like I am. But that'll wrap up our coverage of our very first Modern League. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure. Have a good night, folks. Take care.
See y'all next time.